Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the October 26, 2023 Board of Directors meeting for Green Valley Special Utility District. I can see we have a quorum, no absences today. If we could bow your heads for a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, please bless our meeting, bless our hearts and minds to serve you and your people. Thank you for your love and protection. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we're going to go right into public comment. And we have somebody very important with us today, Mr. Willis with New Braunfels. Where'd you go? Oh, sorry. I can't see anything without my glasses. Please, sir, we encourage you to share with us.
Name's Christopher Willis. I'm District 2 City Councilman for the City of New Braunfels. Green Valley is about a third of the district that I cover for water and the other services that y'all provide, and including myself. So I greatly appreciate what y'all do, because my house is a fantastic example of the kind of water that y'all supply to the city of New Braunfels. With that said, I am here for the Zip Family Sports Complex with the agreement that y'all signed and worked with the city of New Braunfels. We were able to do the groundbreaking yesterday, and it should be starting in November, I believe. Construction starts in November, right around the 6th time. So look forward to that. And the ribbon cutting shortly after that. I believe it's going to be December of 2024. We'll hope. We'll see. Maybe January, depending on all this great rain we're getting right now. But nonetheless, I want to thank y'all for working with the city of New Braunfels, making that agreement happen, and being a partner with the city I so greatly love. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willis.
Can I ask him a question? I have one question for you, sir.
Go for it.
You say the agreement is signed already?
Not signed, just
Okay.
worked on.
I was
Sorry.
about to say, that's.
Yeah, no, not signed, worked
Very
on. I
good.
apologize.
I have a question. Is there a disc golf course going in there?
Actually, there's a disc golf course hopefully going in over the Alligator Creek area, but not there. I'm throwing around other ideas for different sports ideas, but I think it's a little premature for that. I do apologize for speaking early.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. Mr. Scott McClelland with City of New Braunfels.
Good morning, board. Scott McClellan, I'm the Assistant Director of Transportation and Capital Improvements for the City of New Braunfels. Oversee the capital programs group, and so also here to just show support and thank you all and staff for working with us on the reclaimed water agreement that you all are considering this morning. Really, it's a big partnership agreement between GVRA, GVSUD, Calpine, City of New Braunfels. Ultimately, we all share the same customers, right? So we have the same citizens, same are your customers, just like Councilmember Willis was saying. And so really the agreement makes sense. It's been a long time coming. Long before I was with the city, working with you all and working with staff. But most recently, going back and forth with your staff. We appreciate Pat and Samantha's time. On the staff side, Jason and Sam from Tri-Hydro, their time working with us to get through the agreement, going back and forth. And ultimately, I think it's a win-win agreement. Ultimately, it's a smart use of the resources. The park is in phase 1, but the overall property is 150 acres, which is in phase 1 is 4 baseball fields, 4 softball fields, and 4 soccer fields. But that's a lot of area to irrigate. And so we're trying to find a smart way to do that, given constraints on resources on the water side. And we think that addresses this. And then also future phases could add more fields or different type of amenities. And so those water resources will be covered under this agreement as well. But it ultimately removes up to 350 acre feet of potential water that you all would need to provide through the potable system. And so getting this really makes sense from that perspective. So again, just wanted to thank you on behalf of the city and our team that worked through with your team on the agreement, and happy to answer any questions on our side as you all discuss the item, but appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. McClelland. Lastly, I have an email from Mr. Gary Rose for comments to be read into the record. Gary Rose, 224 Green Valley Loop, Cibolo, Texas. It has come to my attention that campaign signs for Mr. Bob Robertson have seen being posted by some GVSUD employees in the area. I cannot personally verify this information, but I truly hope this is bad information and hope that one of the board members will verify if any of this is true and take appropriate actions. Thank you again for including reports and memos such as the committee memos, engineers reports, and the policy status memo in the agenda packets, even if I must submit public information requests for them. They are very helpful in understanding the background of the reports that will be presented at the meeting. But I continue to wonder why you do not get written reports from the general manager, the operations report, or other reports such as the Civics Plus update, winter preparation update that are now on the agenda today. Wouldn't written reports submitted to you as a part of the agenda allow each board member to be better prepared with questions instead of hearing the reports for the first time at the meeting? Just a thought. I want to thank the investment committee again for their committee work and their report this month. What I don't understand is how the previous board and the GVSUD staff have let some of the issues raised in the report go on this long. This seems to be a real lack of oversight and financial management of GVSUD monies. Again, thank you to the investment committee for your work on these issues for ratepayers. I appreciate the facilities committee investigated my concern about the ADA compliance requirements for the front doors. I'm not questioning their findings, but I do challenge each of you to try entering the front doors with a walker and a bad knee and see how hard it is to get in the doors without help. I have designed this new facility without ADA door openers installed, even if not required by law, was a major oversight, in my opinion, in the design stages of the facility. I'd be happy to bring a walker for you to try at the next meeting if you just let me know. The draft electronics devices policy is well written and way overdue as a GVSUD policy. Unless I missed it, the draft doesn't address two issues I raised with current cell phone numbers, where you have more cell phones than employees, and that some of these phones may be on plans that have more options, such as unlimited text and phone, unlimited data, text, and phone, than needed for the position they are assigned to. Where is the cell phone inventory review you were promised over 2 months ago? The cell iPad monthly bills are running almost $5,000 a month. Mr. Gary Rose, thank you. Before I close this portion, is there anybody else that would like to be heard this morning?
Mr. President, may I respond to the first part of that comment?
Yes, Mr. Robertson.
It's in some small manner. I put out my own signs. I don't need this kind of harassment. The only other people who have put out signs for me are past board members. Any of the areas that I've had signs put out have been with the landowner's permission. I could just as easily say that Mr. Rose took down some of my signs, and that would be just as substantiated as what Mr. Rose just claimed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. At this point in time, with the board's permission, I think I'd like to go into executive session out of respect for the New Braunfels staff that are here to be able to discuss the item. Mr. Sherman, do you know what number that is? IX, item 9, sorry.
Mr. Cooper, I apologize for interrupting you, but could we possibly take Chris Ekrupt first, New Gen Strategies, because he has a timeline this morning of another pending meeting. I'm afraid if we go into executive session, we're going to lose his input or
Okay.
comments on the very first item of our agenda, if that's okay.
As long as that's
If you don't
okay with
mind.
our friends from New Braunfels and New Gen, everything
Yeah.
good?
Scott, I appreciate
We
that.
want to respect time early in the morning, gentlemen, so.
Chris has a meeting upcoming here in 30 minutes, and I just didn't want to miss out on his comment today.
All right, then let's move on to item 4. Hear from Mr. Chris Ekrupt, Chief Financial Officer with New Gen Strategies and Solutions. Sir.
Well, good morning, members of the board. Chris Eckert with NewGen Strategies and Solutions. Thank you for accommodating me remotely today and for the time. I'll keep this as brief as possible. And Pat, I didn't know if you had any comments you wanted to mention before I jumped in on anything here.
Yeah, I have a few, Chris, thank you. And I want the board of directors to understand while while this thing is really hot today, David, can you turn this down just a little bit? While we are working through the review of all of our policies, and we have some more to go, I thought it was a perfect time for us to review what we've never had here at Green Valley. And that's a official rate order, which is a document that describes, explains, supports the fees and charges that we have both in our development community, but also our water and sewer rates, as well as our kayak fees, impact fees, and a water acquisition fee and other things. There are additional fees that the district should be charging for inspection fees, re-inspection fees, as we go through our construction of subdivisions throughout our district, that we are not charging now, that we are sending out personnel time and time again to these developers and contractors for inspection services, where we are out that money, out that income. And I'm not trying to poke the construction efforts of development in our area. However, when you're out inspecting a sewer line or a lateral line or a connection to a sewer system and it's not correct, and they have to make adjustments on those lines, we have to send our inspectors out sometimes 2 or 3 different times, the same location, to make sure it's accurate. And that's just one of the fees that we will be addressing with Chris, along other things. And so this rate order is a document that we include in our policies that gives us more support on how we charge and why. And that's why I brought this to your attention today, and Chris can kind of expand on that if he would.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pat. And again, so a rate order, in our opinion, and when Pat and I started discussing this, a rate order, in our opinion, is a best management practice for a district the size of Green Valley and growing as fast as the district is. It is a comprehensive document. It's meant to cover the details on the district's policies, rates, penalties, conditions, agreements, everything that a resident, a developer, a builder may need to know as they do business with the district. And so what we've proposed, and the proposal that you have in front of you, is to come in and develop this comprehensive document. It's not just to develop the comprehensive document, but there's also a benchmarking exercise associated with this, where we would go in and we would look at what other districts are doing. What are their policies? What are their procedures? What are their charges? How have they structured their business to see, is there anything we need to consider? Is there anything as the district that we can learn from the other practices that are being engaged on in the market at the moment? So again, this is meant to be a comprehensive development effort, not just bringing together existing documents, but really looking at our business, looking at how we do business, pulling together this comprehensive rate order, which it's our hope will actually help the district simplify and streamline administration of all of these disparate elements that are already going on. It puts everything in one place. It is a fairly time-intensive effort. You'll see in our proposal, we anticipate this would take 6 months. It would involve working with the board, working with a subset of the board initially to really do a deep dive on this, then working with the board to do, to continue to review all of these policies and procedures. But the goal is to produce a comprehensive rate order that you could act on at the end of this process, that you could then use in the future as you administer all of your policies, your rates, your fees, everything that goes into running the district. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about our proposal or address any concerns that there might be.
As usual, I'll go ahead and start.
Can we start at one end of the table and work all our way down? Mr. King, you have any concerns?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sherman. Please.
So, you stated that we're going to look at impact fees, treatment fees, development fees. We've already engaged with one of our other consultants to do that. And based on their report, they've already provided reports. So we're close to complete with that by my assessment. So I don't understand why we would pay another
Can you
consultant.
tell me about
to
the
do that.
report you're referring to?
There again, Chris,
The report that Mr. Montgomery put in our packet today.
Okay,
There's a draft report, and Gary, quote me if I'm correct me if I'm quoting incorrectly, a draft report for some of these fees that we've engaged with him here in the past couple months. He's already gotten those to staff for staff input. On the water acquisition fee, I believe it was, you've got requests out to CRWA to gather. Right. So if we've already engaged a consultant to do some of this scope of work, why do we need two consultants to do the same scope of work?
I'll start off with that and Chris can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but the rate order would include those fees. Chris's work is not going to do the evaluation. Our engineer's doing on the development of those fees. But the rate order includes all fees, all costs, all fees that Green Valley charges or has documented or approved in its policies. In other words, Chris is not going to go out and reevaluate what Gary has done. That's different work, a different kind of work. The rate order, it just encompasses all rates and fee structure of the district.
So this work would need Gary's completion of his other items.
That's correct.
Okay, so then I would say, let's wait until we see what Gary's paperwork says, and then we know how to move forward. But I also want to know on your billing, so who is going to do the work you're proposing here, not to exceed $40,000, which thank you for putting that in there. That was not included in our packet. We just got that this morning. So in 2-inch letters, I put how much on my, which should surprise no one.
At the bottom of the proposal, there's the amount.
Correct. It wasn't in our packet.
I apologize.
That page was missing
I got you.
somehow. So who in your shop do you propose to do that work? And then what position category on your billing scale do they fall under?
So I would serve as project manager for this engagement. I'm in the partner level on this scale. I would also be supported in this work by Megan Kirkland. She is a manager within our firm, and then Madison Moore would also assist, and she's in the consultant side. We may also have some administrative support from some of our corporate services staff. Katie Fowler, most likely, that would fall under the administrative services category.
And then last item, Mr. Cooper, on the billing rate, I need to see a fixed rate, not a range based on
Understand?
who that is. So I need to see what the actual rates for those folks would be for me to move forward with this. So
Happy to
Thank you,
provide
Mr.
that.
Sherman. Mr. Frias?
So, real quick, when you do present us, in the future, the formal proposals and, how did you get your information? I would just like to see what the other communities are doing that you based your numbers off of. When you do present a packet, saying, here's what we recommend as far as our charges, and here's the data to support that. If you can either, Excel it, figure a way to where we can see and compare how other people are doing to see where we're going to end up in relation to them. I know it's going to be your recommendation. Here's what we're proposing, but I just want to see what other people are doing, seeing how you're already gathering that information.
That was one of the bullet points that they gave
Yeah.
compared to 10.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure when we get that, we see
Sure.
what they do too. So,
are you talking about the cost?
well, what are they doing? Because he was mentioning that he's going to compare and analyze what other people are doing in the industry.
Oh, you're
so
talking about the
I
final
wanted-
rate,
the final
not
rates.
their figure.
Correct. When we do get our figure though, I want to see how is that number generated based on what everybody else is doing. So, for my knowledge, at least.
Can I mention something? And along with the proposal, I just remembered, as we printed this proposal, Chris, they didn't get the second page or the backside of that proposal, which gave them that amount. So Mr. Sherman, you're correct. My apologies to the board for that. But also in that, did y'all receive the proposed outline for the rate order? That's kind of the steps that we would take as we were moving down the road, preparing this order.
I got page 1 and page 3, but not page 2. So
Okay. And page 3, I guess, would have been the proposed outline. Did y'all receive that in your board packet?
It was in the board packet, yes.
And that kind of gives the outline. I don't know if that helps you, Chris, answer Mr. Frias's question, but to see what the other communities are doing, I guess the best way to answer that is they've established a rate order and this is their rate order.
I'm sorry, but I at least want to see how did he generate our numbers? If
Right.
he's already doing the work, I don't know why it would be hard for them to just put, here is the comps of all the.
Rate order is more than just what Gary is doing on our impact fees.
Correct.
That's just a piece of the rate order. The rate order is the document that encompasses the proposed outline
Right. So
Uh,
they'll have all the pricing with all the line items.
Not only
we're
that, the water the conservation plan, the rates and services that we charge our customers, developers, subdivisions, those documents, those specifications are included in all of this. It becomes one document that includes all of everything Green Valley.
But anybody can say, here you go. I just want to see the proof behind it.
Okay.
I
So-
I
I
understand the
And that's
request.
part of that work is
Yes.
to get all, gather that information, get it to him, to define it, to support it, substantiate it, so it's supported in that document.
Right. Well, this is the first time, going through something like this, seeing how, I guess we haven't done one of these in a while, or
We've never had this, and this is something I think
so
we
with
desperately
that,
need.
again, just going back to just showing me how the math works.
As far as I'm concerned, this is almost as important as our bylaws, our district policies, and your rate order, because your rate order becomes part of your district
Right.
policies, and they support each other. And that's something we do not have now, and I think we desperately
And
need.
how often are we gonna need to be updating the rate order?
If you would update
Maybe
the
a policy.
information, once you have the established rate order, excuse me, you update the information as things change, as rates change, or fees change, or impact fees change, then you do an amendment to your rate order,
Okay.
but you still have the outline of that document that shows, that supports all of the things that is detailed in that rate order. And I guess we can, create the rate order to only include specific things. It's up to us to determine what do we want in this rate order. This proposed outline was a proposal of where we were headed with this, which I think is a great outline. And it would give us another tool as we're either a residential individual or a development community come in. This is our rate order. This is what you can expect from Green Valley. This encompasses all these things. It's another tool that we have in our tool chest to handle out the district business as we were.
I agree. I think this is long overdue, and I'm glad we're getting to this. It's just, again, we'd be compared to many other districts and cities. I just want to make sure if he's gathering the information, we are at market rate. We are not above, we are not behind. We are comparable to how everybody else is doing things within our purview, within our industry,
Right.
in our area. But again, I just want to make sure the data he's getting supports his recommendation for pricing rates, structures for us. So if I can just see that, I feel more confident going into that stuff, knowing, hey,
What are
we
you
have
saying?
proof
You would
behind
want
it.
to be sure we include that work in this, the development of this rate order?
Well, I
That's
would
part of
think
that
when we get
process.
our process or the final, hey, here's our proposal, it would have within our packet, all the supporting documents that show that, hey, here's a summary of how they got their numbers. So,
Chris, I'll let you respond to that because you'd be the one doing that work.
Absolutely. So if you look at the first bullet point within our scope, that's where the benchmarking
Right.
exercise is contained here. You will receive the results of that benchmarking. So you will see what the
wanna
benchmark
make sure
utilities
it's
that
clear.
we've used are charging. You will have that information from this effort.
thank you. So I see that, I read it. I just wanted to make sure we talked it
Yes, sir.
out. We all understand what we're looking for and I'm on the same page. Thanks.
Anything else, Mr. Chris? I just wanted to make a comment that I want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to our ratepayers. We need to ensure that we're covering our costs with any changes. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the suggested time frame on this is every 2 to 5 years. We should be looking at a rate
Well,
analysis.
so again, this is a rate order. We are not coming in and recalculating rates. What we're doing is developing a comprehensive document that contains your entire fee schedule. It will contain your rates. It will contain your miscellaneous fees and charges, your kayak fees, your impact fees, as well as your policies and procedures. So this is coming in and developing a formal comprehensive document that, as Pat said, you will act on as necessary. When you change rates, you will amend your rate order. When you change fees, you will amend your rate order. All the action will be on the rate order document, which you don't have at this time. You have disparate documents, disparate elements. This is trying to bring everything together into a management document. And at the same time, benchmarking your policies, your procedures, your fees against other utilities to look at your business as a whole. You could honestly compare this to more of a management planning document or a management document. It's the development of that document. Now, rates and fees, yes, I agree. You should be looking at rates and fees every year with your budget process. This is a different effort than that.
We hope to have a workshop in December. And of course, we would not have this work completed by then.
No.
But that workshop was intended on our development plan, how we handle development from application to contract. And this would be one of the tools in that development plan. There again, that we wouldn't have it prepared by then. But that's just another part of that process that we have as a tool, like Chris said, a management plan for that part of our business. It's not complete reevaluation of all our fees, like Chris said. We already have, that's a separate evaluation. We take that evaluation included in this rate order. But the document, I guess, gives us another layer, another level of policy that's included in our current district policies that we're also being charged with to review in our process. So now it's a perfect time to consider this, because as we review our policies, a document like this included in our policies would give that much more support and more strength as far as board approval, district policies, the district's business plan. It just helps support us moving on down the road.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. That was all I wanted to comment on. Mr. Hendricks?
I had a couple questions. It says that the effort price is $40,000 or less. If it's going to exceed 40,000, it would need authorization. I would like that, well, the other board members agree. I would like that authorization to be from the board. The board would have to authorize to go over 40,000. I think that would be fair. And I had a question about, is that 40,000 separate, or is it included in the hourly billing that's listed below, or is hourly billing listed below something that would be on top of the 40,000?
No, so that's how you get to the 40,000 is we would bill on time and expense not to exceed $40,000.
Okay, and I would also think that there would be a concrete hourly billing rate for, especially for a partner. I mean, a partner knows what their time is worth. I don't think it should be a range of $265 to $405. I think it should be a firm, we know what it is. Same thing all the way down. The only one that you had obviously is the administrative service at $130 an hour. I would like to see them all if we can. I think it has to be rewritten now, right? From what we've, okay. If we can get more concrete numbers on that. I mean, if there's a reason why an hour work of your time is worth more than last hour, I mean, are you solving world peace in 1 hour, so you're going to charge more? Or are you curing cancer in the other, so you charge a little bit less? You know, I just think it should be more concrete on that.
Understand. And again, the reason for the range is we have multiple partners within our firm. This is just standard boilerplate. I'm happy to provide firm hourly rates for every individual that will work on this engagement.
Okay, that's just me. I mean, the rest of the board might not want that in there, but I mean, that's just what I would like to see on there. Something a little bit more concrete, maybe bring in the range a little bit, because that's $130 range difference in an hour, which is right at administrative
Again, I
assistant.
will
Yeah.
provide you specific hourly rates for every individual that will work on this engagement.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Mr. Robertson?
Yes, sir. 3 years ago, I wouldn't have even envisioned needing this document, this structural document. With 17,000 or maybe a little over 17,000 users now, I think it's necessary that we have this infrastructure document to be, as you mentioned, probably need to look at the rate structures every year because things are changing so fast. So the rates will be incorporated into this over comprehensive document.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Miller?
I have nothing.
Thank you, directors. Mr. Allen, what line will this fall under in our budget?
Professional services. Nope. I'm looking at Pam. Excuse me, contracted services.
Contracted service.
So that was a question I was going to follow up with. We don't have $40,000 left in either of those budgets.
We're in our new budget year and contracted
Now,
services.
right in there.
Yes, sir.
And how much did we have in contracted services in this fiscal year total? We had 220 on the 2023 amended,
The
which
total's
is the last one I'm
197.
reviewing.
197 is where we.
We have 200,000 in the current fiscal year. It
As of
started October 1.
I'm sorry, I need to look at September.
fiscal year. We don't have, we have to go back to our budget.
Yes, yes, you do. You have year-to-date and your budget report.
Yeah, it's right. here.
But we don't have this fiscal year.
Out of a
We
two
have-
hundred twenty thousand dollar budget, we spent $199,000
We-
as of September 31st.
We approved
That
two
is
hundred.
ending fiscal year 23.
Right.
Right, we're asking for fiscal year 24 because we
What the
started.
budgeted amount for next year.
Correct.
200,000. I have it right here.
Thank you.
It's 200,000.
200,000. So for earmark 40,000 for the 200,000 to that contract of service. Okay,
Correct.
Thank
So
you.
what else do we need to pay for out of that? That's one of my consistent questions is what's included in those line items? Because I didn't know anything about this,
Well,
certainly not during budgeting
No,
time.
this is what we do.
yeah. You know, and Nick, as we move through our fiscal year, that's what we have to determine. I can't give you a list today, what that would be. I don't have those notes here in front of me, but I can certainly get that report to you.
I think
Of what we have done in years past would be similar to what we're doing this year. And I can't tell you, I think even we even reduced that from 250 to 200,000. However, as we see, we need to do business within that line item in our budget. We will try to manage that our best ourselves. As we get closer to those numbers, then we'll either come back for amendment or either come back for approval from the board or find some other way to manage what we need to do at that point. Just like we would any other line item in our budget.
All right, any other questions, concerns? Chris, oh, I'm sorry. Any other questions or concerns? All right, sir, thank you very much for your time and your effort in this. We look forward
No.
to working with you in the future, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
At this, Mr. Cooper, I'm sorry, I'm not clear on what our direction is.
We're gonna make a motion here, aren't we?
Okay,
Taking it.
okay, I apologize.
Yeah,
I'll turn my mic on.
I will entertain a motion to, how do I verbalize this? Help me, gentlemen. Mr. Sherman, have you got this figured
I
out?
can get it. Make a motion to table this until the rate table is updated per Mr. Hendricks and my request. And that'll also allow Mr. Allen to give us the report on how we're gonna pay for it. Table this next month. Is that good enough time, Pat?
So your motion is to table this?
I'm asking for how long we think we need to table it.
Okay, we're good. That's up to y'all. But I'm not sure what you're wanting me to do to.
Wanting to update the.
We have our rate analysis already done and it's updated in our,
Mr. Sherman, would it be acceptable to maybe reword it to say we're approving it based on those changes would be made? Perhaps?
So we don't know what these hourly rates are.
Well, I can't imagine they're gonna go up. I can't imagine they'll go up.
40,000 is the 40,000. The per hour rate is
Yeah.
going to be expressed by person.
I believe we should know how we're gonna pay for it and that our line item has enough money in it to cover this in addition to the rest of our fiscal year. I don't know that at this point. I think we should table it until we do.
He's already said we have
Okay.
200,000 in the budget. What's the question?
What do we need to spend?
All right, gentlemen, I understand your concerns. Mr. Sherman's made a motion to table item 4 for more information. Do I have a second? Motion dies. So I will entertain a motion to approve item 4.
All right, so I make a motion to approve the formal rate order proposal from New Gen Strategies and Solutions LLC with the conditions that Mr. Hendricks, or sorry, that the Green Valley gets the updated hourly rate in our formal proposal that Mr. Allen will be signing off with not to exceed $40,000 and per the information we talked about earlier.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Everybody's in favor except Mr. Sherman. Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Appreciate your time. Looking forward to your work.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, now let's back up to our friends at New Braunfels with the board's approval.
That's item.
9A. City of New Braunfels Reclaimed Water Service.
Thank you, right?
Okay, yeah, let me see. Review non-standard water service agreements. So we're not looking for approval for this today. We're just reviewing it.
no, we're looking for action from the board to say today.
it says and take action as necessary on the agreements below.
Yes.
So yes, we're fine. So we would like to adjourn to executive session to discuss the contract.
Well, there, I think there's some questions on our liability with the contracts that we have that makes up the service that we're about to provide.
Yeah, we can go into executive session as always to discuss legal implications of the contract. We're not going to go into executive session to discuss the merits.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shan. We're just going to go in to discuss this and then we'll come back out into regular session and save the full executive session for later this meeting. All right, we are in recess to executive session at 9:37. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 10:11. We are back in session. Let's move on. Nice. Let's move on to item 9A. I will open the floor to a motion.
Make a motion to approve the non-standard water service agreement provided by GVSUD concerning the reclaimed water system from New Braunfels, Zip Family Sports Park located at 1655 West Klein Road, New Braunfels, Texas 78130, with the condition that this is for the infrastructure initially designed and not the oversizing or upsizing.
Hold on,
cost.
hold on. That's
Sorry, let me,
that's not listed.
Okay.
Can I get you to withdraw your motion?
I will draw it.
Thank you. Let's stick to the motion as it's written
That's-
here. And then.
Well, I guess I read it too long, I guess, sorry. I'll rephrase it, sorry,
All right,
I just,
thank
but,
you.
okay, so the city of New Braunfels reclaimed water system, sorry. I make a motion to approve the city of New Braunfels reclaimed water system Zip Family Sports Park located at 1655 West Klein Road, New Braunfels, Texas 78130, with the condition that we are only approving the $2,783,164 project cost, not to include the upsizing aspect of the scope of work.
Second.
Proposed.
All right, I have a motion and a second. I'm going to open the floor up for discussion. Ms. Sam, please note specifically Mr. Frias's motion so we can answer it when the time has come. Let's give every director an opportunity for input and questions if they have any. So I'll start with Mr. King.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Sherman?
Yes, the several of the items included in here, I can read them all if I need to, but at a high level, it's far more cost to Green Valley than I was under the understanding would be included in here. I think I can be agreeable with the motion as presented, that it would fix the cost to a fixed number, and we're aware of what that number is. But at a high level, this was not what I was expecting. I can be done there.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Mr. Frias?
I apologize if I didn't articulate it perfectly the first time, but again, Sam, it's recorded if you need to resort back to it, thanks.
Just to ask for clarification, John, what you're basically getting at is you'd like to approve the contract as is, but not to consider your approval of the contract be approval of any upsizing related to the project.
That is absolutely correct. yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Rutherford. Okay, thank you, John. Mr. Hendricks?
Okay, so the upsizing cost would cost GVSUD an additional $430,536, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is the advantage to GVSUD to upsizing?
You know, and whenever we develop these, these capital improvement projects, we typically try to look at, additional needs or, potential needs. And it's just providing, these are the bare minimum that we need to upsize in order to avoid replacing items if in the future you had additional customers. It can move forward without the upsizing. That is not an issue, but to add on new customers would be difficult.
Okay, so the upsizing is only for reclaimed water. It's not for fresh water?
Yes, sir. It's only reclaimed water.
Okay.
This whole, yeah, the whole project is. So, and maybe that's something that I should clarify as well, that this non-standard service agreement is only reclaimed water. The potable water is a different non-standard service agreement.
Okay,
Yes,
so
there will be potable water for concession stands and things like that.
if we did not upsize, what would GVSUD's cost be? Similar to like it's 430 if we upsize. If we
So-
did not, what would it be to GVSUD?
Yes, sir. It's at 2.7, and then I think there is the 400,000 upsize. So it's what's listed in there.
Okay.
Yep. So the GVSUD cost would be essentially zero.
Okay, and like was mentioned before, that was what we were told from the very beginning, from all of this, is that
Yes, sir.
GVSUD
Yep.
would have a very low. And now we're talking about 500,000. I'm gonna say 500,000 because we all know damn well, it's not gonna be $430,536.
Yep.
We know for a fact, we're looking at least 500,000,
Yep.
at least. And then
Sure.
there's gonna be whatever and we'll go, but that's speculation.
And again, it's at the board's discretion. This is, something that we recommended just because there's a lot of growth in there and there's potential for additional reuse, but it's not
Potential.
absolutely not a
So-
requirement.
So here's my question. It's potential. So it's completely voluntary for anybody or else around to want to use reclaimed water.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the only other stuff that could go out there is maybe some residential. And it's completely 100% up to the developer if they want to do this.
Yes, sir.
Will it cost the developer any more money initially to use reclaimed versus using the standard water that they would do?
Yes.
Then they're not going to do it. Okay,
Yep.
so that is why I
So-
don't think we should
The
upsize.
reason there's a benefit is there's an upfront cost. There's an upfront cost of potable water too, but the rate's much lower for reuse.
But
as opposed.
let's just be honest, if they're gonna put in a subdivision,
Yeah.
the developer gives less than two craps
Mhm.
about putting reclaimed water in there. Because the developer is gonna sell the HOA or hand the HOA over after they completely take all their money from the HOA.
Yeah.
They are going to just hand it over to the subdivision, and then the subdivision is now gonna have an extra added problem. They're gonna have reclaimed water system now that they have to worry about, along with their freshwater system that they're gonna have to worry about. And being on an HOA board, I fully understand this is gonna be a damn nightmare for an HOA to have to take a hold of as soon as that developer walks out of there. So what is the upscale? Okay, so if we just approve this and we go with the zero, no upscale at all, the park is gonna be able to have all their reclaimed water. They're gonna be able to do what they need. It would just potentially prevent a developer later from wanting reclaimed, or it would be an additional cost at that point to add.
Yes, it would, I mean, and again, what we're talking about is the pipeline.
Okay.
And then some of the building, because the building's the most difficult part. We can't obviously just extend a building.
I understand.
Yep.
And I just want the board and the public in general to be aware, we're talking a minimum of 500,000. Let's just flat out look at it. Look at every other contract we've had. We're looking at a minimum of $500,000 to upscale reclaimed water, which isn't actually, well, I guess we're dabbling in it now. And yes, I understand that we stand to make money if developers around want to opt in on this. But being on an HOA board myself, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, an HOA does not want to deal with this headache in the future. Flat out, they do not want to deal with this. The developer isn't going to give two craps because the developer is just going to hand this HOA over and they're going to say, you guys deal with all your nightmares. And just like, I'm not going to mention it because that could probably be liable on my part, but every single developer out there, that is the way they're going to work. And you are handing an HOA a nightmare.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Any other questions or comments? Sir? Mr. Hendricks?
No, that's it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Mr. Robertson?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to reiterate, on the surface of it, and we've been looking at this for, at least a year? And I finally see it coming to fruition. It's a win for GV Sud, and it's definitely a win for New Braunfels. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Ms. Miller?
I don't have anything.
Oh, can I I just want to clarify that I am in favor of that proposition. I am fine with that.
Thank you, Mr.
It is the
Hendricks.
upsizing
Voted, guys.
that I have a
Okay.
problem with.
Thank
That is-
you.
that is-
Mr. Cooper, I have one more question for Gary while you're, or sorry, Jason. I apologize, gentlemen. Yeah, hey, that's right. Show up more often. I'll remember your name.
I deserved it.
So in the event that our construction costs exceed the connection fee,
Correct.
what is the process there? What is the next step there?
So, obviously, we bid it out. If it exceeds the connection fee, It's going to have to go to the board, but I will defer to Shan on some of this, on exactly the mechanisms, but
And if that's a legal question, I retract it. I'm not trying to ask.
it's part of the agreement, and, I've been involved in, of course, the creation of the costs and things like that, but a lot of the agreement itself has been through staff and then Shan as
'Cause
well.
I can just tell you what the agreement itself says with regard to that. That's not giving legal advice out in public. The mechanism agreed to tentatively, subject to approval by both the city of New Braunfels and Green Valley, is that if the cost exceeds the estimate, the difference, the delta between the cost and the estimated cost and the actual cost will be recovered through the development of a rate by Green Valley over to be basically amortized over a 5-year period. And that would include all costs to Green Valley to make it whole.
And that's at a high level what I was looking for
Okay.
verification of, because I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
I recognize that the city of New Braunfels needs to have a fixed number that they can rely on. Oh, is somebody hearing me? Thank you. I recognize that the city of New Braunfels needs a fixed number that they can rely on for their planning purposes. I just can't have the variable number on our end.
Of course.
Because costs are going up, we don't know when this will be designed, when it'll actually be bid, all of those reasons, but that is captured in here. And now that we've articulated that, I think that's the only other question I had.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Any other comments before I make my own? Just to add my 2 cents, we don't have anybody beating down our door for reclaimed water today.
No,
But that's all right. Let me just finish my thought real quick. But the main focus of Texas going forward as a state is looking into usage of reclaimed water in all municipalities. So I think that today it would not be a necessity to upscale that line, but I see the long-term benefit concerning what the direction of the city of New Braunfels is for businesses, for schools, for other athletic fields. I think it's kind of short-sighted to not upside that pipe, knowing what's coming down the pike in the future. Just Cooper's personal comments is all, Mr. Vreeland.
And I was just going to add that, to your direct comment, it's, our intent, I guess, our target wouldn't necessarily be HOAs. If they wanted, that would be great, but you are correct. They're looking at that bottom dollar and being able to sell it. It's more the schools and things like that will be going in the future.
Jason, do we have any other customers, clients coming
They have not asked. There is a new high school
and in
going
a-
in, but they have not asked.
in a reclaim system?
Mhm.
Is it expandable in the future? Can we add another pipeline, a dual
Yep.
pipeline, or a larger pump to increase the velocity? More
You
flow?
can, yep. So it's
So it's possible that if we do get another customer come say, hey, now that this pipe's here, I want to tie into it,
Mhm.
we can have a similar connection fee figured to offset that cost to do another project, just like New Braunfels has done or is willing to do in this case. If another customer wants to come online, they can play the game just like, New Braunfels did. We're willing to let them tie on, do a project. We continue to manage it. It's all expandable if another customer comes online.
With the one exception of, the pipelines, you can always add another pipeline. There is an added expense to adding another pipeline, obviously. The building is the difficult part. You can't just, expand a building. And so, adding additional pump slots and things like that, we have to extend the building out. So with that exception, then yes, you're 100% correct. It could be a new project.
And at a high level, if we were to spend that roughly $500,000 extra, that's $500,000 that's coming out of our water revenues, our wastewater revenues. We already have a fair bit of debt that we have to pay against that. I believe that money could be best served over there where we already have debt. We could potentially get into a new market in reclaimed with no debt, which is wise. This is why I made the motion to ask you guys to proceed forward with engineering work. I agree with it. I don't want to fund maybes in the future.
Of course, and that's totally understandable.
Thank you. Directors, any other
Right.
questions?
Can you just tell it the motion again? Because I didn't forgot the motion. Is it to approve the
Okay,
project?
If everybody's got their questions, we'll entertain the motion again. All right, everybody good?
The motion
All right.
was to approve the contract as written without the oversizing.
Everybody on board with that? We've got a motion and a second. Is a roll call vote necessary?
Yes.
All right, roll call vote, Mr. King?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Aye,
Aye.
aye, aye,
Nay.
nay,
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Oh, it does matter, Pat. Sorry. I had a brain fart. We were approving the way he did it. That's exactly what I argued for.
Yes.
That was my bad.
Mr. McClellan, Mr. Willis, thank you so much for being here, for helping us with this. Appreciate your input. You guys are great partners.
Welcome to stay.
Thank you.
Our meetings are fun.
Just too much fun for you, huh? All right, let's move on to back to regular business, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some confusion here. I'm really going to need Sam's input on this for the consent agenda items from August. Miss Sam, would you explain what we're doing here? Items 5 and 6.
It's my understanding, good morning, board members. It's my understanding that agenda item 5 is available in your packets. Agenda item 6 is not. Pat, please correct me. if
That's correct. The balance sheet that, we don't have that for you today. We are still having some issues with our conversion from our old logic system to the NICS system. Pam and Heidi, pretty much all staff has been working with the new software. And the numbers are not balancing like they should be. And so I didn't want to bring, there again, like last month, didn't want to bring that to you with inaccurate numbers. Pam's had meetings with them this week and trying to get those things ironed out. As we get that balance sheets corrected to where it needs to be, where you see the comparison between the two, we'll get that forwarded to you and bring it back, hopefully, Pam, at the November meeting, do you think? Yes, we're hoping. And it's hard to explain to y'all what the issues are because I don't deal with it. However, it's just the balancing of the line items or the balance sheet and how it's being presented in the new form. As we move forward in the next several months, when we do the budget reporting and stuff, it's going to look a little different as well because of the software has changed. And it'll have more aspects that y'all had not seen before. I think you'll like it, but I don't have a sample of that for you today, but we'll have to bring that balance sheet back to you.
Is there a way we can get these two? Because we're also missing, or at least I'm missing 7D. Is there a way we can get these documents that we're falling a couple months behind on in the old format and while we work through the new format? Because we can't just let these ride.
Pam is shaking her head no. And I can't address. Come up, please, Pam.
I'm sorry, Pam, I didn't mean to make you hustle in from the back.
Well, I need to get her a microphone.
With our, is this on? Green light means it's on? Okay,
Yes.
sorry. With our new system, we are still going through and some things are not hitting the way we anticipate or as we used it with our old system. And so we're still finding things we need to correct and move some things around. Part of it is just letting you know it's something we've been working on. We weren't able to actually get into the system. They did all the conversion for us. We did not actually get into the new system until a week before we actually went live. And that was due to some delays on us getting over here, getting our server over here, and getting the necessary components to allow us to access the software. So in the meantime, while still trying to produce financials and do our normal duties, we are still just trying to go through all the system to make sure things are hitting things. And as we find things and are able to correct them, we're doing it right now. The balance sheet has a lot of information that the old system didn't put on a balance sheet. And I want to make sure that that information is correct. Plus, there's some conversion items that they weren't sure where to put. And so they've listed them as conversion items. And so we're still going through that. And with our auditor that's come out, we met with him Monday, and there's a lot of discussion going on with him on how we can address these issues to get them corrected and get them in the proper places. Because this, like Pat was saying, this new system, just like with your capital project report you just got today, we have to manually create that because in the new system, it actually tracks it per job. So you'll actually, what we're trying to get for this next month is you will actually see a project. It'll be like a client, just for instance, like a Klein Road project. It'll actually have listed out what was spent in engineering, what was spent in pay apps, or what other costs we've spent on that project. And that's how that system will handle information like that. Where in the past, it was in our old system, it didn't handle it that way. So we're trying to make sure everything that is hitting those codes or GL codes are hitting correctly. And it is just a long process because it is just Heidi and I working on that. And Heidi is also having to change with our other system not going live. She's having to hand enter every deposit, and we have over 100 deposits a month. So she's having to hand enter that. So we're trying to tag team on checking and verifying all these accounts. So unfortunately, it is a very slow process, and we're trying to get you the most accurate information we can. And we also, with the last few months, we also wanted to keep it in the same format that you're used to seeing at this point, because it's a little different. This next month, we'll have some different type of financials that'll look a little different. So, I mean, not trying to make any excuses.
No,
I just
no,
want y'all to understand
And
what we're up against.
I know personally how much you and Heidi work. You're not twiddling your thumbs. Pat, is there any staff we can shift over to help the ladies? Because I agree with you. I understand, but at the same time, we can't simply just go multiple months and not have our reports done. Is there any way you can get them a little temporary reassignment from whatever department? I don't know if it's possible.
They would
We
have
gotta
to
get it
be
done.
retrained in accounting to be able to do that. The Pam and Heidi are the only two we have in the building that can perform those things. There could be some support from Tracy on her section of this transition, but that's in a different category altogether. Doesn't really affect the balance sheet. What you have to understand is besides the training that they've been receiving for months, they still have to do their daily work. And then after their training, they have to deal with the anomalies. And that's what Pam's trying to explain. She's not talking about the 4 days a week that they're in 2-hour training sessions with the new software while still doing their work. So it's also why it's such a delay. But, we could probably show you maybe the balance sheet as it looks, but it's not going to be accurate, and you're going to have questions, and then we're going to have to go into the reason why.
If it's not accurate, I'll have questions.
Well, and I don't want to
We
be,
got to get it done.
I don't want to hand you something that I can't either explain or scratch our head and figure out why it's that way. And that's really where we are, because when we look at this, Pam has the questions on it. We address that with the trainers of the new system. And they have to be educated on our process and what we're doing, because we're finding out, well, maybe they are not doing it correctly. Then we have to correct them. And we did that actually yesterday on the payroll side. And so we're rough waters right now. We'll get through this. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're more better off today than we were 3 months ago. Everything is where it needs to be, except it's just not reporting like it should be. So it looks like something's not right.
So you want to pull item 6 from the agenda, consent agenda?
That is correct. We don't have it for you today. We were in hopes that it would be there and ready for you, but it was tabled, so we had to put it back on the agenda. But we're still do not have that report for you today.
All right. So I'd like to handle these consent agenda items separately. So I'd like to,
Real quick before we get, can I ask a question
please.
Okay. Ballpark, what month are we shooting for this to be cleaned up? Are we looking December, January? I mean, how far out are we to still deal with these issues on the transition side?
Be completely honest with you, I'm hoping to have it for you for November. But like I said, we also have our auditor down. Well, he's not here now, but he has given us our final pull for the audit that he wants by November 9th. And so with the possibility of the board meeting being a little bit earlier, trying to get everything done, because like I said, this system, there's a certain process we have to go through with closeout, and you can't close it. It doesn't allocate your numbers to the proper GL accounts till after you go through the closeout. So it's just a time consuming. So Heidi will probably be focusing more on the financials, and I'm going to be focusing on getting our auditor information so that we can get our audit in a more timely manner this year.
Okay.
So I am shooting to have some type of balance sheet for y'all to look at, and it may be, this is the balance sheet. We may even highlight items that we're still working on these items to clear them up, if that would be okay with you, knowing If you see those highlights, we're still working on those, but just to get you something to start looking at what we have in our
That's
balance
leading to
sheet.
my next question.
Mhm.
The old way of doing things,
Mhm.
we have not completely stopped that in its tracks. We are still using it in a way to get the information over to the new system.
For these past few months, we
Right.
have been, just because of how our layout is on on the budget report you see. With this other system, I would like to go to where we're not doing those type of spreadsheets where we're having to, move information over, that we can have, where we can actually do a printout from the system that will give you the same type of information.
Yeah.
And that's what we're working
Pam,
towards.
you and I were talking about that the other day.
Yes.
The budget report that y'all get in your packet every month is something that started 20 years ago, and it was created by board members to say, we want to see these things. And so that budget report is not really a true accounting report. It's just a report that is put together on those line items that the boards over the years has said, this is what we want to see, or we want to change this or change that. And so we adapted that report to look as you see it today. While Pam is telling me that what we will have in the future is a more of an accounting type report with a little bit more numbers in it, more descriptions, some other things. So I think you'll be happy with that, or be more pleased with that than what you're seeing today.
Which means we'll also approach our budget a little bit differently than how we normally approach it, because
Yeah.
this system.
It will change those things as well.
Well,
It's a good thing.
something I know, with even like Mr. Frias with the vehicles and things, this accounting system actually allows you to have a transportation cost, which completely breaks down how cents per mile it costs to keep that truck on the road, which also includes a depreciation into your into that cost. Well, in the past, you've only seen what we've spent on that truck. This is a totally different way of viewing things. It's giving you an actual true cost of what it costs to run Green Valley, including all the components that go into it. And for us too, this is a totally different way of doing financials than how we've done in the past. So we do have a learning curve of how, trying to get it to where we understand it and are confident enough to say, yes, this is what's going on. And we do ask a lot of questions, because I want to know, well, that's not where that's not where things would always go. I have to understand it. Heidi has to understand it, so that when we give you something, we can say, yes, this is true and accurate. This is why this is happening. This is giving you a better picture of Green Valley. And that's our goal. And there again, I don't want to give you information that's incorrect, and then we're having to constantly go back in and correct it.
Thank you, Ms. Pam.
Oh,
I
question.
know we're going to have some more questions on
I have a
September
question.
numbers coming up. Mr. King?
Is it practical to hire some temp people just to do some of the entry work so you can get caught up or not?
With having to do the comparison, I don't know that it is, because of how things would hit with us, and it'd probably be more, I'd have to spend more time explaining things to them. Where I'm like, if I have to explain it to somebody else, I might as well do it
I'll be doing
myself.
it, yeah.
Yeah, because the time that it took me to do that, then I could have already had it.
I'm sure they'll accept your volunteer hours,
Yeah.
Mr. King, if you'd like data entry.
You don't want me doing that.
Our biggest delay is having to do a lot of the hand entry right now. Even with our refund checks, I'm having to enter about 150 to 200 checks to get those refund checks out. So that takes a day and a half, just hand entry.
Correct.
We're doing that month. We have one more month of November to do, and then they will be going live on that side of it in December. So that much will stop, also along with our hand entry of deposits. So as it all comes together, it'll be great once we get it all together. It's just getting all the components to work together, and then getting everybody else up to speed and trained on how to use the system
Is there
properly.
any other work that's your daily stuff that can be passed off to someone temporarily? And that's probably, I know we hear you, and you're strapped switching over. I get it. We're trying to find help you, but at some point we gotta get it done. And what can we do to help you have more time to spend on this? And I don't know if there's anything that we can do, but we're
In
trying.
November, I think we should just wait and see how November comes.
Okay.
We go from there and we adjust as needed.
And I am getting extra help though, where we need it, on like in our warehouse situation. And that'll alleviate some stuff from the young lady that I have helping me with on that side of some of the stuff. So she'll be more free to help do some other stuff that she understands that I can give towards more of some of the operation stuff that she's already tracking for me.
And Pam, it sounds like what you're telling us as you move forward, what you've intimated is that what will be presented to us once this system is ironed out and the kinks are ironed out, we'll get much more comprehensive, detailed information per project, which sometimes it takes a while to get to the finished product.
Yes, our goal is to alleviate all the spreadsheets that we're trying to keep up with. Yep.
All right, any other questions for Ms. Pam? Because we need to get on to September's budget too. So I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5.
Make a motion to approve
Oh,
item
wait a
5.
minute, excuse me, it needs to be removed. Yeah,
No.
We should have untabled.
it was.
I'm sorry.
it
Make a
has-
motion to untable item 5.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Robertson seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, now, do we need to approve this?
I make a motion to approve item 5 as written.
I have a motion to approve financial report from August 21st. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hendrick, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Item 6 is pulled. Item 6 is no,
Well, it's staying as table.
oh, it's tabled. You're right. I apologize. You're right. All right, moving on to the full consent agenda. Item 7. All items below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered and action taken as necessary as part of the order of business. Do I have a motion?
Like the full item, B and C, please.
Okay, hold on. I can't hear. I'm sorry.
B and C.
Items B and C, Mr.
And
Chairman.
E, please.
B, C,
E.
and D.
E.
And E?
Missing.
Huh?
E. Echo.
So.
B, C, D, and E. B and C are Mr. Sherman's, correct?
Yes.
D and E, Mr. Frias.
Please.
Okay.
So
I will take a motion to approve item A.
7A.
I have a motion to approve item 7A. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item A is approved. Mr. Sherman, I will start with you on item B.
Item B. Distracted by rain, I apologize.
Yeah, can we just take a moment and say a prayer for the rain?
So at a high level, we've got several items that were over budget and several items were dramatically under budget, 2%, 11%. We touched on some changing to our budgeting, and I just want to comment that take a look at these ones that we've gone over on during budgeting phase and these ones that we're dramatically low on, and make some adjustments when we come through to budget. That's all I wanted to say on B, and then on C.
I have a
Okay,
comment
but
on.
before we move on, let's see if there's any other questions on B.
I have a comment on B. So we have on line item employee appreciation. On that one, we only did 31% of the budget that we set forth on that one. Employee appreciation consists of what? I mean, what do we, sorry. Sorry, so I'll repeat myself. Employee appreciation line item on the budget was set forth at 25,000. We only did 31% of that budget for fiscal year 23. What do we do under that line item?
That's a variety of things. So the most expensive one is usually our annual Christmas gathering, which of course, probably that year-to-date number is in, shows that number. Is that correct, Pam?
Yes.
And then we have a few events throughout the year. We've tried to do a little bit more, starting this next fiscal year, try to do a little bit more of that, where we have maybe work anniversaries or various things for the employees. Maybe we provide a meal occasionally during times, especially during the summer months when they're busy out. We try to maybe provide them food to keep them going, because a lot of times in summertime, they're 24/7. They have leaks during the day and night. So just various things we do with the employees. Pam, you can add to that. I don't recall every line item we have in there, but we're pretty tight with that every year.
How tight have we been in the past? Is it about the same? Are we averaging?
We've always been
something?
15 to 20,000 in that number. We've had some years as low as 10,000, but just as our workforce has increased, we
but we only did 7 this year.
Right, that's correct.
So the reason why I'm asking, so last year, members of the Green Valley's employees were told, rumored by you, that the board took action not to approve their Christmas bonuses or Christmas raises or whatever the case may have been. Is that true? That you told them that the board took action to not give them their Christmas bonuses?
The only action the board took on any of that would have been the approval of the budget. If the money was in the budget to
It
provide
looked
that
like, it. I mean,
Christmas
we had
bonus. But
25,000.
the Christmas bonus is always a maybe we do, maybe we don't.
How, okay, so I'm told that this is a yearly thing and that last year was the first time it wasn't done. Why is that?
Speak to that?
Sure.
Just when we did the budget, as far as the pay amounts, the
Mhm.
board only approved a 5% or basically
No,
approved. the
separate
co-
from that.
Well,
This
but
is
we didn't
separate
have,
from
we didn't add that extra into the budget for Christmas bonuses.
Again,
And
like you
that's,
guys are talking about, Christmas bonuses, to my understanding, has been a part of employee appreciation. So again, that's why I bring up employee
That's-
appreciation line item.
it
If
does,
employee bonuses are under something else, again,
Chris,
I'm trying to understand this.
employee bonuses are not part of employee appreciation.
Okay,
It's in our wages and salaries.
okay,
In
so
our
if it's
budget.
under wages and salaries, which we went over on overtime salaries, we were, pushing up on it. Again, though, if something has happened year over year and we stopped it last year, and this is for the holidays, I'm kind of concerned that it was perceived that the board took action that we denied their Christmas bonuses that they normally get. Or the way it was pitched to them, I'm just trying to understand that because I'm kind of taken back by that.
Actually, I believe my message to the employees that afternoon in that old building was, I'm not able to provide that for you this year. In the
Okay.
approval of the budget from the board on our budget, we did not appropriate enough money for that, they allow that this year.
Okay, so that's
I
the
didn't, I
first
did not
year.
blame
correct,
that on the board. Is that's what you're asking me?
Yes and no.
Well-
The reason why I'm asking is if that was a standard year over year and we
It's-
didn't do it last year, that would have been nice to know if that was a part of the budget so that we can include it something that's been going on for years. And then now we stopped doing it because,
in the
I mean,
years
that
past,
covers-
it was part of whatever the board approved as far as a raise, like to increase our wages, whether it was 5% or 6%. That was generally, we didn't have COLA raises. It was done as a merit raise, and then the employees were given a Christmas bonus. This last year, I think we like set like 6% or so, but
It
only,
was we
like-
did a cost of living raises
Right.
last year and that's all we did.
right, and it was in the motion from the board, it was agreed upon to do a so much cost of living raise, which pretty much to catch, everybody up with the increasing cost of living.
Mhm.
It was set, that was the only percentage we gave out because
But
that
even
was
though
all
we
that was
gave out
approved.
that much of a difference, it
Mhm.
still did not keep up with something that y'all have routinely done year over year
Right.
that the employees
And-
anticipated.
And you're right.
Let me
And-
ask- So let me ask, I'm not aware of the details of this, but if it goes in our hourly and our salary wage, as of August 23 is the one I'm looking at. I don't know if I'm looking at the right one. We still have 7% unused salary budget in hourly rate and a 13% unused budget in salary rate. Is that's where that would have come from?
It is, but we don't, that's not enough to cover everybody.
So my understanding is it was $100 gift cards annually given out to them to cover their expenses
sir.
for their
No,
turkey
we
dinner.
don't, we did
Christmas
gift
dinner or
cards
something like
one
that.
year by the board had us do gift cards during COVID, and that was like $50, I think, per employee during Thanksgiving. Generally, the Christmas bonuses were generally done as percentage, which was kind of part of the approved budget, based on what the board approved for us to raise our wages at.
Okay, so the reason why I'm asking,
Yeah,
please
we don't
understand this,
have-
I
we-
want to do something this year. I do not want another year where the employees do not get treated for the holiday season that they've been treated for years. I want to make sure they get something from Green Valley for those reasons.
Well, then
So
I
that's
need,
why I'm asking this
I
question.
need direction from the board what that needs to
And-
be.
and-
there.
Alright,
Yes,
so
that's-
that's why I'm asking, under employee appreciation, can something be earmarked under that budget for the employees? Because what my idea is a $75 gift card to the employees to go buy their turkey dinners and we have
Can do
50
that.
employees, that totals $3,750. Can we make that happen?
Yes, if it's under something like that with gift cards to the employees, yes, we can do that. If it
Okay.
has to do anything
Well-
with extra wages paid, money paid,
Right.
then it has to go under
Okay,
the,
so
the other. And
Jan, based on the verbiage that we can take action as necessary on company business,
Hang on before you do something.
well, I'm gonna make a motion
Okay.
real quick,
before
so go
before you
ahead.
Make a motion. So I'm looking at the August 2003 budget, which we're closing out now, correct?
does September, are you? September or August?
Ending September 30th.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So that's the one that Mr.
Mhm.
Frias referenced 31%. So that remaining balance of the 25,000 under employee appreciation is no longer accessible.
No, that is the
that's
end of our,
closed
it
out.
would be in our current
Okay.
fiscal year.
Right.
So it would be nice to be able to do this under that, but since we can't, we have to
Right.
look at the 24 budget.
Mhm.
How much did we budget under 24?
Do you have the budget? What was that, the budget amount?
And I'm not putting you on the spot. If we're going to use a similar,
He has.
a
he has the
similar
number.
dollar amount under employee appreciation, we budgeted a similar amount, which I'm sure we did.
You know, we,
I don't think we made a change on employee appreciation.
what needs to happen as we're doing these things is when we're doing the finance committee discussing our budgets, what are you gonna do for the employees? And our current wages that we approved, has some pad in it. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
I'm
how
not,
much.
we're not going into the payroll or anything along those lines. I want to earmark under the employee appreciation,
Okay.
under that
All
one.
right,
We're
just
not
tell me
touching
that's
payroll.
what
We're
you
not
want
doing
done
any
and
of
we'll
that.
make it happen.
Do we do gift cards?
No,
or do we
this is
just buy?
just a simple gift card straight to them, whatever food that they need for their families. I want to make sure they make that choice. We don't make it for them.
That's the
So-
only direction I need is
Okay, so
take care of your
with,
employees.
with that,
Yeah.
again, the holidays are coming up. I'm
Well,
trying to do this
let's
now.
not get open check.
I understand my,
you know.
my
But so I
boundaries.
make a motion that
Is this separate than their bonuses?
this is,
We're-
well,
That's no, there would be no bonuses under payroll. It would
We
just
have
be
a motion on the
gift
table
cards.
right now, we're
waiting to-
discussing, so
May I
can't make
have-
a new motion until we clear this one. We've got a motion to approve the consent agenda with these pulled items we're
Alright.
discussing.
Sorry, so that was my questions. I'll stop my question. I'll wait for general manager's update. We can talk about that one then. All right,
Okay.
so.
All right, other questions on item B to Ms.
No.
Pam?
No.
Hold on.
Okay,
hold on,
I
hold
just
on,
have,
hold
I
on.
just have a quick question. Considering the challenges you've had with August, are you comfortable that the September totals, the cumulative totals will close out our fiscal year in total? Are they accurate?
Yes, they are accurate, but we have to remember, once the auditor gets a hold of them, they do shift some things around. And I don't mean they would, like it's just they categorize things a little different than how we categorize them on here. And so they may push some of this stuff, it will change a little bit because they may bring something in that happened in the previous fiscal year, but based on dates, they'll push it into this year. And same thing, they may find some things they feel are not for this budget year, but need to be pushed in the next year.
So then will we receive a final 2023
Yeah,
financial statement?
when you receive the audit, that's basically the financial statement, because we don't get a breakdown on exactly what they've moved and what they've changed. We've tried to go through and balance that out that way, but it doesn't work that way. That's however they do their auditing based on their auditing practices.
Okay,
That's
and
why it's
ahead.
presented in an unaudited format, because the auditor has to make those adjustments. We don't do those adjustments. And how we book things is different than how they may see something where we felt you should do it this way, and they make those adjustments, which can change those numbers you see at the end of September.
I understand. I utilize the totals as a gauge to be where we're at. That's why I need to understand the accuracy of the.
Right,
of
and
total.
it's accurate. The other thing that we have to remember on our audit too is when you get the audit, in the past several years, it'll show like we've had an operating loss. That's not, but our number, when you look at the bottom number, it shows our net change is in the positive and for the good. However, when they look at operating numbers, they're looking at just your revenues for operating. They're not looking at interest. They're not looking at anything else besides your water sales.
Non-operating
Non-operating,
revenue is not
right.
not
They
included.
put that at the bottom. So because we rely heavily on our budget to use those non-operating to help cover operating cost, we always appear to be like we're losing money in that way. The only way to,
Development fees, the acquisition fees, the.
that's
impact
all
fees,
not, that is all non-operating.
kayak, yes.
Yes, and so the only way that we could be positive in the operating side of it would be to drastically go up on our rates, which I'm not saying we need to. I'm just saying that would be the only way to do that. I'm just, because I know every year that's a question. You see, we're good on here, but then wait a minute, we have a loss. But that's what that is. So it's hard. The numbers here are, the year-to-date numbers are accurate based on what we have entered into our system.
Yeah, because it's amazing to me. I spoke with Pat about this earlier. We blew out our revenue by 26%, our budgeted revenue, due to such a drought. And we just sold a lot more water. I'm sorry, is this thing feeding back on?
Yeah, like we spoke, Mr. Cooper, before the meeting, our water revenues surpassed what we predicted. Of course, that's always a shot in the dark anyway. Water acquisition fees the same way. The kayak fees, like I explained, we took in $3,046,000 in kayak fees. We predicted 1.1 million. Well, in August, a developer that had been dark for months showed up at our doors with $1.5 million for $2 million, two different projects, and kayak fees that we are anticipating this current fiscal year. We got them last fiscal year, so that was not anticipated. We're not going to turn it away, of course, but they paid their fees in advance of what we anticipated them.
Is that number though a part of the 26% over? No,
All
right?
part of the revenue.
So it's revenue,
The
so
developer participation would be on that second sheet that you received this morning,
This was the capital.
the capital side of it, because that's all used on capital projects.
That's
A different, you're talking about
It's a
developer participation, that's not,
so that wasn't a part of the 126% overage from our estimated revenue income?
no.
Right, that's separate.
That's,
So
we keep that completely
okay.
separate, yes.
So, but Jeff, you also look on, if you want to talk about that on the next page of that report, you'll see some of the overages on the water side. That's there again, additional pumping, additional usage. The difference between a wet and dry year, you'll see those fluctuations in your budget. But also you'll see it in electricity costs because the distribution plant pumps ran longer than anticipated or a normal year. The drier year, you have higher electricity, higher water usage, and higher revenues. In a wet year, those are going to come back down. That's why many times in our budget year, our first 3 or 4 months of our budgets, we see we're a deficit on water sales and other things like that because the usage is not there, but your last 4 to 6 months, because of higher, drier conditions, you surpass that. And we consider that when we're projecting what we think we'll make or what our revenues will hit. I was glad we met our number, but going over that amount, I was not anticipating that, but people were still sprinkling their yards 2 weeks ago. And so that usage is still out there. We can all see,
They're still on.
They're still,
see that in the trends of
Never enough.
the tracking that CRWA does on their plant tracking, Wells Ranch, Lake Dunlap. Our Edwards Wells, of course, we cut back that service area drastically so we don't overpump the aquifer, and we're sitting pretty this year. But we've cut it back as much as we can. As we have growth in that area, that'll be a challenge in the future. But all of those things are variables based on that budget number. Yeah, it looks like we really banked on the water sales, but we also had higher expenses on electricity, water consumption, supplies. There's been more leaks this summer. The crews work 7 days a week now, morning and night. And so that's starting to slack off as we get a little bit cooler temperatures. That'll start slacking off the next 3 or 4 months, but then hotter, drier areas, that'll start picking back up. It's just the nature of the business.
Thank you. Thank you. Directors, any more questions on item B?
Motion to approve item B,
Item 7B.
September 30th.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Let's move on to item B. Item C, Mr. Sherman. Let's
Yes,
keep it.
the questions I had, in our investment committee, we discussed the different accounts we have and the, interest rate that we're accruing on those. Can you give us any update, Pat, on any actions you've been able to take to move some money from low interest bearing accounts into higher interest bearing accounts?
We are still working on that. We have a meeting next week with the city of Marion.
Marion State Bank.
Excuse me, Marion State Bank. Wow, sorry about that. That was a good one. To talk to Kathy, there at the bank as we are looking at what we have there and possibly some other programs that they may be able to offer to us. But also we approved in our investment committee to take additional money over to Church Bank to add to a CD that we have there that'll bring us triple the amount of interest we're making on a CD that we have over there. We took an additional $10,000 and we're getting 4.34% based on what where we were.
Bigger.
So that's what we talked about in the investment committee meeting, and that's why we've done that. So we have that going. But we will get back with you additional monies that we may move around to Logic or Textpool.
Okay, I'm eager to see higher balances with that 5 point something
Right,
next to them
that interest rate.
while the rates are still good.
I agree.
Any other questions, concern on item C?
I do.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes. I believe the sum was approximately 3 million that was supposed to be moved from a 0.65% account over to a 5% account. And we gave direction and we had a board approval to give direction for the immediate transfer of that money. Why has it not been completed yet?
We're anticipating this meeting with City of Marion, Marion State Bank again, sorry. We keep a certain amount in that bank and have, enjoyed or have been a very strong relationship with that bank. It's a hometown bank. We've been banking with them for 60 years. To move a large amount of money out of that bank could damage, could affect our relationship with that bank. Right now, we pay no fees. There's a lot of fees that we could be charged, a lot of work they do for us that other banks won't do because of the balances that we keep there. We understand the interest rates are now in a position where we can make much more somewhere else. That's why we have that meeting coming up with them, because there's other programs they says they can would like to provide to us or to explain or show to us that we may be able to take more advantage of that.
So to summarize, we lost approximately 30 days of interest on 5% interest on $3 million because we're worried about some potential increases at our current bank that we have. Would those potential increases exceed the interest that we would gain on $3 million at 5.6%? Because if the answer is no, the money should have already been transferred as directed by the board.
I understand. And I apologize for not making that happen sooner, but I will.
That literally cost us money. You cost us interest on $3 million. Now, if we can get some concrete stuff from Marion State Bank, maybe they'll do something, but the direction was given to transfer the money. And if there was a problem with that, the the investment committee, Mr. King, should have been the first one because we were directly authorized by this board to make that authorization for the transfer. He should have been notified immediately. I found out incidentally, and I waited until this meeting to be able to ask this question. So we have lost interest on $3 million because we're worried about our rates at Marion Bank, which is not the right answer. I understand that we have a long tradition with them. We've been with them for a long time, but it kind of boils down to if the bank here cannot support us and give us rates that are grossly at advantage to what we have right now, then we probably should be looking at a different bank flat out. The money should have been moved. The money needs to be moved. And if Marion Bank has a problem with it, well, we'll deal with that problem. But the board was given authorization and the board gave direction in a special meeting. I'm sorry, let me rephrase, it wasn't a special meeting, in a committee meeting. And that direction was not followed. So
All right,
that's
Mr.
where I
Hendricks,
have-
thank you. I think your point is well made. We understand. I think staff heard you very clearly. I look forward to answers on that as soon
Take
as
care of that.
possible.
I'll
Thank you,
get that
Mr.
taken
Sherman.
care of.
Any other questions on item C? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve item 7C.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is unanimous. Item D, Mr. Frias.
I move to table item D, seeing how it's not in my packet.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is unanimous. Item D is tabled. Item E, Mr. Frias?
So I met with Pat and Pam, what was it, day before yesterday, something like that.
Yes, sir.
I emailed them some, questions on some check numbers and I met with them, sat down. We went over as much as we could with the time given. I didn't want to take too much of their time, but one of them, when I got home, I kept on thinking more about it because everybody knows I'm a fleet guy. You know, I'm concerned about vehicles and trucks. So, when we have an insurance claim on an F-450's engine, I'm kind of concerned that we don't know how that happened. We don't know who did it, who caused it, how it all came to be. Pat, I know you were telling me you have no idea how it came to be. I'm sorry, but if we're getting damaged vehicles from our employees and we don't know how it came to be, and we're filing insurance claims or spending money of any kind,
What
you
check are we
should
talking
know.
about, John? What check?
So it's check number, so there was two check numbers on the engine repairs. One was 3004, and then the other one was unit number 104. That's a truck, but the check number was 3000 and then 4 at the end of it. And then there was let's see,
The check register number.
3004.
3004.
3,000.
And then 0, and then 4. And then there's the other one, which was 30, 23, and 6. So again, can you explain to me the process on when issues like this of this amount happen? How is this handled?
Well, this is unusual. This is not something that normally happens. This is the first time we've had this happen. Had one of our newer trucks, 2021 F-450, received damage to the engine, to the degree where it was trashed. The repair estimate actually originally was $24,000. So we did an investigation, both not only through Bluebonnet is where we bought the truck, when we took it for evaluation. And they said it appears that water got into the turbocharger, and shelled the engine. Of course, it has not rained, but there has been a few weeks of rain. There was some waters that we've been through with the truck in that time period. We're trying to, our own investigations, how could this happen? Well, we also wash our trucks, but we're fairly careful about how we do that. So it was never determined either by the insurance adjuster or the Bluebonnet technicians how the water could have gotten to the turbocharger. So my options were either file the insurance claim to get some payback on the cost of repairing the engine, which that's what we did. The insurance paid $14,233.25 of that invoice. So we are out just the difference between those two.
Okay.
It was either that or trash the truck, and it was.
No, we're not trashing a brand
Right.
new truck that we
That's
spent
correct.
a lot of money on.
So it cost us 4,000 on that incident.
That's correct.
So again, it goes back to, it's not, to my understanding, when I ran fleet and I had my big rigs, trailers, forklifts, all that. If an employee cost the company money, because I'm pretty sure the truck didn't just drive itself into water, or water got in there somehow. The engine was on. How did the water get in? And
We could not
did an
pinpoint
employ-
how that happened. I
So
could
we
not.
don't know an employee, we don't know, it's just sitting there and we don't know who drove it last. I'm sorry, but I'm
Let me
confused.
say this, the supervisors, managers of that department went through with the employees that operate that vehicle and went by day to trying to figure out how this could have happened. We even looked at the design of the turbocharger, how it's, where its intake is and those things. We discussed that with Bluebonnet. I wasn't part of that conversation, so I don't have all the details on that. But it couldn't be determined whether it was going through a low water crossing or through a lake area where there was a massive water splashed up through there, got in a turbocharger, or was it during cleaning and maintenance of the truck?
Okay,
I cannot pinpoint exactly when it happened.
I had a Ford F-350, and really the only difference between that is chassis and braking system. To get water, if water went into the turbocharger, someone opened the hood, someone left the engine on, and someone started pressure washing or washing inside the engine while the engine is on. There is no other way water is getting into that turbocharger unless, like you said, they went through high water. The turbocharger is about 4 feet off the ground. So in order for, and the intake is about 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet off the ground, but it has deliberate prevention from water getting in there. When I drove my truck through 48 inches of water. And the only thing on my truck I had to replace was my differential oil, and I had to change my oil filter. And that was it. It got nowhere near my turbocharger. And we don't know who did this. Is that what we're saying? Because someone opened a hood, someone put water into the engine. That's how this happened. So that's not an insurance claim. If we went insurance on that, I'll just leave it there.
I have a question.
This is like negligence. This isn't just someone accidentally washed a vehicle. This is someone opening up a hood of a vehicle and putting water into an engine while it's running on a diesel.
Do we have cameras at the wash out there, the truck wash? I can't remember if we put cameras out there.
We have the cameras on both sides, on front and back. So
Would
we,
that show if somebody did what James is implying in our truck wash?
I would have to,
We would-
look into that.
if that was the case, we would see the truck entering the truck wash, but never leaving, driving out. It'd be towed out or pulled out. So, again,
Let
go
me
ahead.
ask one question here. So one of these is referencing a unit 104 and another, the second check is referencing a unit 121,
It's a different vehicle.
replace turbo and long block. So it's the same kind of issue. Is that what?
One's another engine issue from what Pat was saying. It wasn't
There
related
was
to
2 vehicles
two
repaired.
vehicles.
Unrelated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just engine repair. There was a list of other, right here, if you want to look, at all the other repairs that they did on.
But it was just age related?
It's a
Age related. It has 156,000 miles. So they did a complete kind of upgrade on those parts that were wearing out. So
Yeah.
I was just making sure those two
there you go.
invoices
That
aren't.
one.
Yes, and I believe on that one, because of what they replaced and everything, they also had to drop the engine and do a little more intensive labor than what it was normally, but it was called more cost effective to fix it than to scrap it.
Okay, again, Pat, if you could just get us the information, or at least me, the information on the insurance claim that was filed, you can give me all the information concerning that truck, please.
The avenues that we travel and try to determine how or when that happened, made it difficult to try to determine, okay, it happened here. This must have been what it
And
was.
I'm not saying it's here, but again, I'm willing to, let's move on. But if you can just get me what Ford has said and what the insurance carrier has said, if you can give me those information, just so I can see how they wrote it up. I just want to educate myself on that part. But again, in the future, if
I'll get statements from
anything
the employees
happens-
as well.
please, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve item E, 7E.
Any other questions or comments? Ladies and gentlemen? All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous. Oh, I'm sorry, opposed?
Thank you, Pam.
No,
Thank you,
it
Ms.
was-
Pam.
It was unanimous.
All right, let's move on to, oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Let's move on to item VIII, number 8. Here updates on the below items from GVSUD General Manager, staff, engineer, and committee chairs, and take action as necessary. I'll turn it over to Mr. Allen.
Thank you, sir. I don't have a lot to report on this morning other than what we're about to hear from the other entities, the operations report. Mr. Sherman, you had asked last month that we'd have a little bit more detail on the sewer plant, and we included some information there. And we can talk about that in just a minute, but
Where did you include that?
should have been with the operations report.
Oh, the operations report that was handed out today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I do have a question for you. What have we done to the packet? Why have we completely changed the presentation of the packet?
Meaning what?
Special numbers?
Well, the Roman numerals are changed. Well, I think I was handed 5 different papers this morning. Things weren't
Well, the
included.
delay on the operations report is exactly what Pam was trying to explain with everything else she's doing. She's the one that prepares that. She's,
Ops
and
report.
so delay was because it was either get the budget report out or get the operation report. I said, well, hand out the operations report, get the financials done. And so we handed out the operations this morning. That's the reason for the delay on that. But as far as the format change, we're just trying to make
Well, and
it.
there were other tabs that we only printed one side. We didn't print the back side. I was missing the data on how much, whatever,
New gen.
the new gen, the cost of it. So I'm thinking, here we are presented something that doesn't have a cost in it when it was just not included. Some of mine are misnumbered, I don't know what's happened to the packet, but it's,
Well, we're not happy with the tabs that were used. We know that already, but other
I'm not-
than
I'm
the
not saying
information
that.
that's in there, is
Yeah.
that's what you're addressing.
well, some of it I've marked on my, my sheet as it's missing as I'm going through it. Well, then I find it 2 tabs later, it's just out of order. It's just not as well
We
put
will-
together as it has been.
I hear your points. We'll take another look at that. But the delay on the things you had handed out this morning were for just workload.
All right, thank you. Did you have anything else, Mr. Allen?
No, sir.
So I know we're gonna talk about the employees for Thanksgiving, so under your general manager's update, that's where I wanted to section that motion. That we approve a $75 gift card under the employee appreciation so that they are able to go this Thanksgiving and purchase their
And-
food.
Do we
from
need
our
to have
company.
a budget amendment to add that money to the
No,
budget for this year?
It's
Those
here,
ones in
we're
there.
earmarking.
So I'm
It's
gonna,
already there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna second that, but I want to have discussion.
Yeah, I want to.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to be clear on the motion. The
Right.
money is in the budget to pay for this. We don't have to approve any special funding. We're just earmarking the money. Is that correct?
I do have a question, and that's just for Thanksgiving, not Christmas. I just want to make sure we don't have any misunderstandings and
I
you're
want to
clear.
make sure that they have the choice on what they want to use. If they want to save it for Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
they use it for Thanksgiving. They
Okay.
want to use it for Christmas, but I don't want to decide for them.
Yeah.
I wanted to give them, I want to give them the opportunity to make that.
Right.
If you can just, next packet, just say, here's all the employees that signed out the credit card, or not credit card, the gift card, to, that they received it. I just want to make sure they're good and they're
Okay.
happy.
But you want to make sure that's in their hands by mid-November.
By the next board, yeah.
It
Before
will,
Thanksgiving,
it will
for
be
sure.
done. That is
Um,
not a problem.
And that total, so everybody's known, based on the 50 employees that we have, correct? We have
That's
50, so that should be $3,270, $50, something on there. But
That include our general manager, because sometimes he gets,
He's an
he
employee.
doesn't get bonuses
Doesn't
sometimes.
mean-
yeah, it's,
We're good.
yeah, it's $3,750 from my math.
I kind of want to caveat on that if I
Go
can
ahead.
say something.
Sorry.
So right now, it looks like we allocated $25,000 to employee appreciation, correct? For, 2023. I'm not talking about 24 yet. So 2023, we allocated $25,000, but we only spent $7,783, correct? So we have an overage there. Did the overage get carried over to employee appreciation for this year?
No.
Or, so where'd the overage go as far as accounting wise?
To the bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay, just went to the bottom line?
It didn't go anywhere. It was just wasn't spent.
So this is I hate budget overruns. Everybody hates budget overruns. And I hate not spending money that was earmarked for something really good. We earmarked deliberately $25,000. And I'm not saying that we just need to just spend it willy-nilly, but I do think that 7,700 of the 25,000 in this case is low. We should have gone higher because the board did authorize, we did expect a $25,000 expenditure. So on that note, assuming we just did everything this 2024, and did we allocate another 25,000? Is that what we allocated this year?
This fiscal year is 25.
So
We
for
did-
2024,
For 2024.
20,000.
25,000 as well.
20,000.
It's 20,000. Okay, well, we were so far off the mark. I'm willing to like piggyback on him and make a suggestion that perhaps we do November and Christmas as cards because we were so under, and 75 is kind of a weird number, and I'm not saying that.
Again, I'm trying to be kind
Yeah.
of frugal.
Yeah, I understand. I understand he's being frugal but we were so far under the $25,000 and the way times are right now. I mean, I would appreciate an extra $100 right before Thanksgiving or an extra 100 right before Christmas.
So,
I kind of would amend maybe a $100 card for Christmas and for Thanksgiving if,
okay, so if we do that, that is $10,000 then.
Of money
out
we've
the-
already
That we
allocated.
earmark out of the, That's half of the budget.
Yeah, for all of last year, we spent 7,700, so
No, no,
that's
no,
what I'm
it's
saying.
2024. 2024 is 20,000 for that line item. 20,000. So if we earmark 10,000 out of that budget for the holidays, which I think is the most
Take it back down
important
to
time from
75,
them.
75.
He's saying 5,000. He's
No,
saying.
no, he wants to
wanna
do
do
Chris,
two?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I was saying Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we are so far under.
And maybe you're 25.
Just to clarify,
For each holiday.
Okay.
$50.
so-
You're saying instead of 75, $100
All
card.
right, so I'll rescind my motion. I make the motion that we do the $100 gift card for the employees given to cover both holidays, $50 allocation. To use at their discretion,
Second.
under employee appreciation,
One gift card
$100.
equaling $100.
Yes.
For Christmas
For-
and.
For Christmas
For
and
Christmas.
Thanksgiving. Okay, and,
Total of $10,000.
No, for a total of $5,000.
Gotcha.
okay.
So we're doing 25% of the allocated budget for employee appreciation.
Okay, and also just to speak on that, I know there were some things that we had kicked around, just trying to do more for the employees, but of course, with being over there, it was hard to do a whole lot.
Correct.
And then coming over here, but there's some other things I'm sure the employees would like to do that, eventually I know Pat's probably gonna get mad at me for this, but, I know there's been talk about the employees wouldn't mind having a company picnic at some time where they can actually bring their families.
And
Right
Would
I
be
think we
great.
need to, in the springtime,
Mhm.
but I think for right now, the holidays coming up,
Right.
we gotta take care of it.
Right, but I was just saying, that's kind of the reason why we did budget higher. We were trying to plan some stuff, but it just kind of
Okay.
got
Well,
by the
and-
wayside.
And hang on just a second, Christie.
The
The
numbers
money we
don't
were
match.
spending at a venue for the Christmas gathering, we don't have to do anymore. So we can save, I assume, several $1,000s.
Oh, that was only like $800 for the venue. It was
Well,
cheap.
well,
I'm just,
either
sorry,
way,
I'm just, yeah.
There's ways that we can save. Maybe we have an occasional less, pizza in the field when the guys are working. But personally, I want to have the family picnic
Mhm.
versus more frequent, lunches.
I
with,
think our suggestions are well made, but I think it's staff, general manager's responsibility to bring ideas to us on what will most benefit his employees, not us dictating. So
I want to add one thing. I want to make sure we discuss a fact of a gift card. I'm not opposed at all to providing something, especially if it's something we've done before and we stopped. I know my wife works for HEB and HEB provides to their employees, and it's easy at HEB,
Mhm.
but they get a coupon. It's free turkey. Let me tell you what, Nick Sherman is smiling ear to ear when I go down to HEB and get my free turkey or my wife's free
so
turkey.
you want gift cards, not
No, no, no.
checks?
I'm just saying, we just need to
These are
consider
gift-
with our intent of what this gift card is for, we can go buy 2 cases of beer, instead.
We can't tell them
Money's
that.
good.
Again, it's at their discretion.
But the
We are
intent
cutting
is
that tie.
for-
The intent is for their Christmas or turkey dinner. That is the board's intent. If they choose to do that other, that's on them.
That's exactly right.
So.
I
Okay.
understand that the thought of having a turkey, but I do know if you end up having 2 or 3 turkeys that you end up getting.
Right.
And families don't need
Again,
2 or
their
3 turkeys.
I don't
discretion.
even like turkey.
So.
I know.
So I want to clarify. So I was in agreement with what Hendrik said. And your motion wasn't what we wanted or what we. So my thought is $100 for Thanksgiving and $100 for Christmas.
$10,000.
That's $10,000. That's half our budget. on
That's
that
for
line item.
2023 though.
No. That's,
24.
we are,
23 done.
we're in fiscal year 24. We cannot go back to 23.
Half the budget.
Right, but the budget can be amended at a later date.
I understand, but again, I want to do at least something. I don't want to go too deep in it because we still have the rest of the fiscal year we have to worry about. And if we're wanting to do company picnics or other events, I want to not, cut from those events just for the very beginning of the year.
I know, but I think
All
they
right,
deserve
ladies and
it.
gentlemen, we have a lot of business still to get to. So Mr. Frias, would you like to pull your original motion and
I
then
pulled my original, I made the motion for the $100.
for Christmas and New Year?
for
I have a
Christmas and
motion. Was it
Thanksgiving.
seconded?
It was seconded by Christie, I think.
Chris?
You second the,
Change it or?
okay, so I need.
second that.
So we've got a motion. Could you restate the motion again, just to make sure we're clear?
I apologize for y'all who have to type this up. So it's recorded, YouTube. So I make a motion that we give the employees of Green Valley SUD $100 gift cards before next board meeting for their Christmas and Thanksgiving.
And I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll take care of you.
Make
All
sure
right.
they know that we're we're trying to do as good for them as we possibly
I
can
will
and
put
still
them-
not get run out of this table.
I will put them in an envelope and say appreciation from the board of directors.
Okay, so I have another question, Pat. Sorry, I'm keeping your topic, still online. Fiscal year 24, we started October 1st. So that means COLA that we agreed to has been integrated into our payroll, correct?
Yes.
I think it goes January 1st.
January.
I think it's January 1st.
No,
for pay.
it's October.
Can you restate your question? The reason I'm asking
Sorry, I know
that
the
is
rain's loud.
we approved the budget with a 5%. We approved the budget with a 5% wage increase.
Okay.
But that's my direction from the board. I manage that to the employees, how discussion with employees, my staff, the employee interviews that we do. We consider COLA. Of course, there's been talk that the COLA for 2023 was 8.7 and 2024 is 3.2, 3.4. But the board did not give me direction on give this much or that much. We approved a 5% raise, wage increase.
Okay,
And so we gave a 4% COLA.
okay, so 4% COLA was given out to
And
everybody?
The reason I arrived at that number is because we're halfway into 2023. That percentage all based off what records I looked at was 8.7, 8.2 or whatever.
Mhm.
Our discussion in our committee meeting, I forget which committee now, finance committee, some like COLA, some don't like COLA, but we're thinking 3.2, 3.4. I think Nick, you and I, Mr. Frias talked about that number. So seeing how high 23 was and how much lower 24 is being projected, I kind of cut it in the middle, went to 4%.
So
So
the remaining
and
is
remaining is just
determined
sitting there.
how?
is the a buffer.
Okay.
Because throughout the year, we could have employees that acquire additional license in our current policies. If a water or sewer license is increased, an upgraded license, they get a 4%.
Okay.
Now, there's not a
that's
whole lot that
separate
happens throughout the year, but I
from-
keep a buffer there for that.
Mhm.
So if we were not going to use, and I don't mean to bring that subject up again, the employee appreciation for the gift cards, we have a buffer in wages and salaries that we can use that money for. Not salaries, but wages.
So
No.
that 1% is just there as a buffer, like you're explaining.
I always try to have a little buffer room in there for wages in case, should we hire someone, should we not?
Okay,
Those things.
all right. Just wanted to make sure that
I've,
Hey, can you turn yours on? Sorry, I don't know if it's yours or.
how we used to do raises years ago is the board would give me an amount we are agreed to a 5%. And it would make it up to me how I distributed that. And how we used to do it, I'd give maybe a 2.5 or 3% wage increase, save the remainder of that for a Christmas bonus. For me, as a special utility district, for me to give any additional wages or bonuses, I have to have it approved in my fiscal year budget every September. And so by giving a 5% wage increase, that gives me money to use for those reasons, either for a bonus, COLA, or wage increase.
But you said at your discretion, right?
Yes, sir.
There's no review process. I know we talked about
The
reviews.
review process
Does
is
that
done through
give-
management and the managers and supervisors here.
Okay,
However, we've also discussed how that can be opinionated, very opinionated. So something we're going to propose for this next year, Philip and I and Tracy are working on is maybe looking at some other kind of longevity plan. Like I think several entities around us have a longevity plan, was you're paid so much per month that accumulates and is awarded once a year for how many years you've been working or provided service or which would help in that process of wages
retention. That would
and
go-
taking care of the employee for the number of years they've served.
Okay.
We don't have that for you. We were gonna propose that for the next budget year because we didn't have that appropriated for this budget, current budget.
Thank you for talking about that. I just wanted to make sure we're good. Everything's going smooth on that end. Marion Middle School donation, saw on Facebook the other day, we're a sponsor to that event. that they has for their Thanksgiving.
They approached us here a few weeks ago. Ashton's not in the room. She approached me. We did contribute to that. I think it was very minimal. But we also had some representation there. They had some little event over here at the school.
Okay, next time,
Can't hear
can
me.
you let the board or at least the Public Relations Committee at least know that that's going on? Cause to see that, it's like, I had no idea about it and,
My apology. I thought because it was such a low, it was okay to donate that amount of money. It was
I don't
very
think we would
small.
oppose it. We just want to be involved in
got
in knowing about it. I saw in the break room areas and at the front doors, you're having a safety stand down.
That's correct.
That, what's that all about as far as how long and what day and what's gonna go on?
It's tomorrow. We've been planning this for quite some time. We have a monthly meeting, monthly safety meeting, but we have also departmentalized weekly, daily meetings. But we have a employee monthly meeting. Now that may be the entire workforce. It could be just the field staff. It could be the customer service staff or the internal staff. Tomorrow, what we propose to do and what we're trying to do is make this an annual event to where it's we call it a safety stand down. It's more of a team building, more moral building. It involves all the employees. There's potluck food brought in from the employees to prepare themselves. We also will be doing some barbecuing, this and that, to have a meal together. But we also talk safety. We have vendors involved that we deal with. Engineer firms have donated prizes for events and stuff. It's more a building, team building type thing we're having tomorrow. It's internal. We spoke about this recently. We did a regional utility roundtable here for Guadalupe County. We hosted it in September. And we spoke about it then to those other entities. What we'd like to do eventually get this to where we have other entities join in with us for that effort on that one day a month or one day a year, excuse me, where we all gather and eat and talk safety. Tomorrow we have, I think on the safety agenda, it's both for office and field staff, for ladder safety, trench safety. We'll have one of the vendors is bringing their hydrant trailer, which shows different components of the hydrants and stuff like that. And so we'll talk both vendor-related subjects with training while having a little food and competition between employees.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. We've had the city of Cibolo actually said, hey, we'd like to participate next year if y'all do that. So we're trying to promote that through other entities. We're trying to host more things like that. If you're concerned about cost, like I said, the employees are bringing a lot of food, preparing that food themselves, but we did provide some meat. And my total at this morning is about $420. Takes care of that. So that will go into that employee appreciation account line item.
Are the vendors contributing?
They're
Any
contributing
food
different things, door prizes or raffle. Pam, you've been involved with that.
Yes, we've collected over the time through just different, you order certain things through certain vendors, you get a free gift. We've collected some of those, and our sponsors that are coming in, they're each bringing several items. And we're using those as door prizes to our employees.
Yeah.
And we're having,
This
It's not a
sounds
big-
like a good thing, but just tell us about it. I see our social media posted, hey, we're gonna be closed for a safety training all afternoon tomorrow. We'll say what it is. If we're having vendors come out and we're having some type of competition, just say what it is.
Yeah, it's all part of our safety plan.
I mean, if it's employee appreciation related, we support that. Just tell us what it is and say what it is.
Well,
Anyways, I appreciate, I just wanted to make sure I at least knew what was going on and appreciate that you're doing that. That's all the questions I have on general manager update. Sorry it took so long.
All right, Mr. Allen, do you have anything else to add? to
Yeah,
your
if you
report?
remember, part of, when we started discussing, Mr. Frias, our safety program, I said, we're building that. Gabe Cantu is putting a lot of this together. He fronts all of this stuff, gathers the vendors, gets them all promoted up. But he's also, like I said, reaching out to other entities saying, hey, come join our crowd. We have a facility now that we can provide these things or do these things, and we're getting good
Gary,
feedback.
you're a part of that too, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. You got
And
Jason.
Gary was part
Jason,
of the
Jason.
utility roundtable as well. He provided the food for us for that day. So
Right.
Well, thank you for that.
We're not big
Appreciate it.
All right, any other general manager updates?
That's all I have.
All right, Miss Pam, anything on the operations report? Directors, any questions, concerns with the report you were given?
I know last month, Mr. Sherman asked about the flow rates at our sewer plant, and in the future, I will put more of a concise report. But just for the first time, I wanted to print out what they're actually tracking, which is the pages behind the operation report. That is a monthly, item that our Claire at our sewer plant actually keeps track of. And I just wanted y'all to see what they're tracking. But in the future, I'll have just to keep it more concise, the flow rates. But I thought it was important for y'all to see that.
Yes, and the important information that I wanted to have tracked on here, I don't really, this didn't.
Right, it's
and
extra
Thank you
information.
for trying. Thank you for trying. It's,
You know, I always try.
the important information is that percentage of treated capacity. So we're 19.6, 17.34, and 20.27. So running 3-month average, what, 17% roughly? So that's the important thing for the board to understand
Okay.
when we need to expand the treatment.
Right, right. And that's the general information that I'll include on
And this is
reports.
perfect. This is perfect. This is concise, well put together. I don't need.
I'd love to take credit for that, but I didn't
No
do that
credit.
So,
report. That
Mr.
was
Sherman,
from-
we look forward to you educating us on how to read the damn thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This item right here, Britt, this item right here,
Uh-huh.
this is the key item. for the
Okay,
running
thank
months.
you. I understand now.
Anyway, credit, whomever put this together. This is good stuff. It's exactly what I was asking.
Thank you for
I'll be
adding.
glad to let Claire know. She's doing a fantastic job out there keeping up with all that information.
Thank you. Yeah. All right.
We're not going to be able to have a meeting in the rain anymore. It's hard to hear in here.
All right, let's move on to item 3, Civics Plus update. Miss Garrity. Is it fixed?
We're in great shape. So on October 5th, we sent the termination letter for the civic clerk contract. That was a savings of $8,334.90. We have migrated over to Civic Engage platform, which David, if you can just pull that up real quick. What this platform does, we've already had it. We've been using it, just not at its full potential. There were concerns and inquiries about the usability and navigation of the agenda. And this one has really streamlined the questions of how do I get to the agenda? Why does it keep flipping up the page? What year is this? It doesn't identify what year this is unless I do this. So if you can go to the agenda tab. So at the agenda center, it now shows you all the board meetings in numerical order. If you're looking for something specific, you could use the guides up at the top to do a search for the specific agenda that you're looking for. If you're just looking for time period, you can do that as well. You'll notice that it shows an icon for the minutes, the media, and if you want to go to a download to download the agenda or meeting minutes, you can do that there as well. So this is, in my opinion, leaps and bounds better than the older version. It's more user-friendly, and the visibility is there. The change with us going to specifically just with the Agenda Center is that we've had to relocate the financials for the check details and the financial reports. They are listed under the financial section, which is under the About Us tab. And there you'll see all of that information that was once with the civics clerk, and this is how it is going to be listed from this point forward. So we did terminate that contract. It will be effective in December. We still have to pay. That's part of the contract. But we don't have to worry about any renewals. We don't need it. We got rid of it. So we have the existing contract until July 19th, 2024 is when we would need to, well, 60 days prior to that, or even sooner is the better, in my opinion, to determine and have more information from Ashlyn. And I believe that she's also working with Mr. Hendricks on making sure that what you asked for, Mr. Sherman, about cost and how does this compare to one another. We're going to have all that information for you. My understanding from Ashlyn is at the beginning of the year. As she's again working with Mr. Hendricks with consolidating all that information in a report.
And I know they're working on it following our investment committee meeting. I came back through the executive room and James basically threw me out because I was slowing down their meeting. So appreciate
Surprise,
you
right?
looking.
Surprise. You're surprised, all in favor?
I have a question. So I get the alerts about the agendas being posted. So I don't know if this has to do with y'all switch over, but I got like 4 alerts the other day. And the first one I got when I clicked on the thingy, it came right up, but it was the wrong agenda. And then I got another alert. It was a different agenda. So was there issues?
And I hope I do it justice, Ashlyn. I think she's listening to me, so she'll barge in through the door if I say it incorrectly. But when she was posting it, there was a glitch of some sort that caused that. She caught it immediately and reposted, but that was just a glitch. They are still migrating anyone that had requested notifications, migrating that over. She's helping expedite that process because I guess they're having some personnel changes and that's slowing down their progress. So Ashlyn's lending a hand in getting that migrated over a lot quicker. So apologize for the extra, but that was part of that migration over. Any other questions on this?
I don't have a question. I have more of a statement. I know the board, me, can be hard on people when things aren't going as fast as we think it should go. I appreciate that this was done. We saved money and this looks very easy to access and to use, which is pretty much everything that we needed. And we're saving money, which we all love the saving money thing. So thank you very much. And
This
thank
is
you, Ashley.
also helping on transparency.
Yeah,
that
it
we're
definitely helps.
Trying to be as
transparency.
transparent as we can, showing everything we have.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So
thank you.
thank you very much. And thank you. I know she's not here, but she's probably listening. So thank
He
you
is
very much.
listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrity. Any other questions, directors? Let's move on to item 4, winter preparation update. Mr. D. Francesco, the man without a mustache.
Good morning, board.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
I got a motion. I got a motion by the
I'll make a
board.
motion.
All right, don't move it. So this was asked to be put on the agenda by the board, just to give an update on our winter weather preparedness. As we can tell by the weather outside, it's coming. We're less than 1 week away from temperatures in the 40s, in case people are not aware of that. So staff, we do have a winter weather preparedness plan. It is part of our emergency preparedness plan. We're at the part now where we're looking at our pre-winter preparations. A lot of that includes equipment checks, looking at the weather forecasts. We had our first meeting with staff, with management, just 2 weeks ago to go over our winter preparedness plans. I can go into a little bit more detail on the operations side if you guys want. I also want to touch on what's on everybody's minds still is from 3 years ago, our major storm that we had in 2021, and I can go over, what sort of extra resiliency we've included in our system since that time. The big thing on that is, as soon as you leave here, you look further south, that's one example that we have increased water storage. Staff is also looking at further water storage through, more elevated storage, more ground storage in the future that will help. One of the big topics is generators, which unfortunately, due to the market circumstances, we haven't been able to acquire the generators that we were planning on acquiring last year, last budget year. But we have taken other steps to increase our resiliency just through storage. Do you guys have any questions on what staff is doing for winter preparedness or?
Mr. Sherman?
Yes, this was mine that was requested. I actually received this question from 2 folks from the same neighborhood that I assume they talked. So I know we had gone through our recent preparedness plan.
Right.
We're in good shape there. I also want to consider, Steve and Christie, let's make sure CRWA is,
Correct.
talking with them. I was sitting in the meeting when they went over their plan, but they're having some issues with generators as well. if we're going to have potential issues with generators, we might also consider secondary, terminations, whether our facilities can receive a temporary trailer mounted generator,
Right.
such like that. These are just my suggestions. But I'm glad to hear that y'all are already having meetings. That sounds like I'm just pestering y'all on stuff that y'all are already doing anyway. So,
Right, and
Um,
it's, like I said, after 2021, it's on the forefront of everybody's mind. We do recognize that that's on our customers' minds as well. One of the things that we're going to do is, or that we have been doing is increase communications. If we get to a situation where, and I'm coming from, I was not here at the time of the storm. I came from further south where we didn't have as bad freezing weather. We still had to cut off, even though we did not lose electricity, we had to cut off water to certain areas to give our tanks enough time to fill. That may be something that we'll have to do. That will have to be done through communication to our customers of, hey, if you need water for this time period, we're looking at shutting it off, fill what you need to fill, because at that point, it's not going to be available. And that will allow us to get our storage and our pressures up where it's needed. So we do have a lot of things that we're looking at, not just on the capital side improvements, which we do have, and it's a blessing, but just as far as operational as well.
the, review back with staff, the guys that, because we had some issues with health at the time as well, but the guys that were out there, operators, I don't know, let me make sure I'm not excluding any ladies that we have in the field. The operators that were out in the field during that rough time, let's try to evaluate, hey, it was this one tiny component. We needed a 50 cent, whatever. Have some spares if available, check all of our heat tracing, interaction with utility power suppliers, make sure they know what circuits our critical infrastructure is based on. In the CRWA meeting, there was extensive discussion that, at least with CRWA, GVEC simply didn't know that critical infrastructure was on this particular circuit, excuse me, and they could have just not shut that circuit off.
Right.
So make sure we're having those conversations. And
That has been completed. That was actually part of the, I believe it was the Senate Bill 3 that came about after that storm.
that's
that
tied to
required
our
us-
emergency preparedness plan.
Right. And so we've already communicated with both GVC and CPS where our critical infrastructure is. And as you said, if there's a, priority list of where they're going to kill power, don't kill that power. So that step has already been taken. And as you mentioned on staff, I think that's a benefit that can't be overstated is that experience. The staff members that we had at the time are still here. As part of our winter weather preparedness plan is identifying those parts, and not just identifying those parts, but already have them on site so that if somebody, because that's one of those things that, especially us here in Texas, maybe sometimes we take for granted is that we will always be able to get to point A from point B. And that may not always be the case. So if somebody's having to come from a different direction and they can't get to wherever that part is stored, it needs to be stored on site where it's going to be used.
In the backups to your comment about GVEC, they actually told CRWA, we didn't cut your power. They didn't even know they'd cut it. So, yeah, it's definitely a multifaceted issue, and the better prepared we are, the less chance there are for problems.
And I appreciate you going through all this. It's easy for me to get 2 different phone calls from 2 people in the neighborhood down the road from me saying, hey, I don't want to lose water. I say, I don't know the details of it, but I can get a report, and then Philip has to go do, hours worth of work to prepare this.
And this touches on what Samantha sorry, I'm pointing like it's still up there, like what Samantha just talked about. We're looking at an increased transparency as well as increased communication with our customers. If they're going to be inconvenienced, if we have another storm like we had in 2021, life is going to be interrupted. It's just getting that information to the customers of saying, here's when it's going to come back to normal. Here's what we're doing. Here's the next step. This is when you can anticipate that. And then they can do their own personal family planning based on what we're doing.
Sure. And suggestions, like you said, up front, via our social media that we're propping up and the alert systems. Hey, everybody, reminder, coming up, be prepared, we don't anticipate anything, but
Right.
do whatever you need to do to get set. So
Thank you.
this is exactly what I was looking for, just a gut check that we're doing all the things that we're doing, that we already doing to be ready.
It's on our minds, it's on staff's minds, and it seems like we were just in 100-degree weather just a few weeks ago, which I assume we were. But like I said, they're predicting for Sunday that it's going to get down in the 40s.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, folks, thank you, Philip. Any other questions? Again, we're getting stretched for time. I'd like to go through the policy status update, and then we'll take a quick break before we go on to the committee report. So, Ms. Sam, please.
In your agenda packages, you'll see the memorandum. I do have listed as an agenda item the electronic device policy for your review and consideration. All other items are pretty much in the same means as it was last month. Still have a guide of December 29th for the personnel policy. These credit card policy and the electronic policy will be incorporated into the personnel policy. And all the information that was discussed about the kayak fees, all those assessments and so forth, that's going to impact the operating policy. There's a lot of other rate and fees that we are working together with Pam and front staff in the customer service. So that's a combined effort for us to get that all done too. That's why I do have it as a target of February 22nd to incorporate any of the other items that need to be implemented within that operating policy. That doesn't mean that that's how long it's going to take. I do know after speaking with the attorney on the electronic device policy, the personnel policy is going to take a while for the attorney to review. Our target is to have it to him next month, so then he can have that plenty of time to review it. And hopefully I can get it to you for the December, but it may be January before it's presented. If there's any further changes or updates, I'll make sure that I'm bringing that to the board. Does anyone have any questions pertaining to the memorandum?
I just have one comment. So on the bylaws, I thought we had said February last month. It wasn't captured that way in the minutes. Not going to go back and look, but let's go ahead and say, put a due date of February.
February, okay. I apologize, I don't remember hearing the date.
No big deal. I know
Okay.
you're working on other things. But is February 22, is that the February board meeting date? I'm not sure if it is or not.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I can get back to you on that. I don't know what
My
the date
intent
is.
To target. If it stays on the schedule. Okay, yeah. So my intent is to target that.
And that's just for those same sections that we've already went over, correct?
The items that we've gone over. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we'll update that to February 22, 20 of 24.
Thank you. Directors, any more questions, concerns? Thank you, Ms. Sam.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Directors, let's take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break this time so we can power through to the end. I have a hard stop today, so I will be pushing to move forward. So it is now 11:52. Let's come back at 12 o'clock straight up, please. It is now 12:01. We are back in session. Let's move on to item B1, committee reports. Ms. Miller, would you like to start with the facilities, please?
My memo is in the board packet, so I don't have anything to add other than what's in there.
Directors, any questions? All right, let's move on to item 2, investment committee report. Mr. King?
Yes. My report is in there as well, and I actually read over it again, and found 5 or 6 typos, so I apologize. I'll try to do better, but the committee met and we had 2 things we really looked at closely with the intent of getting this this policy approved. One of the things is making sure that the money was invested in a way that is compliant. And we've come to the conclusion that that money that's invested in the Logic and what is it, text pool, I think it's called. Can't really see what that is exactly, but that's widely known as to be, I guess, in compliance. So we're good with that caveat. And then lastly, we wanted to what it says in the policy is that any investment over 100,000 has to go out for bid. And we have a lot of money at Marion State Bank that they are backing up with some bonds. And that's been hard to get anybody else to do. So we thought about taking that language out of the policy, but we all decided it was important that that's in there. So we talked to staff, and once a year at least, they're going to go out and see if there's any other banks willing to do that at a minimum. So with those two things, we voted and we recommend that we approve the investment policy as it is. Any questions?
Based on your assessment with your committee, right now, how you feel with as much money as that we have invested in Marion State Bank? Do we need to start considering other bank or institutions, or are you comfortable with the way it is?
I'm comfortable because they're willing to put up the extra collateral. I'm not comfortable that some of the money is sitting in low interest rate spots. So and we've addressed that, and that's going to get fixed. So yes.
Thank you for your.
Directors, any questions for Mr. King? All right, then I'll move directly into item C.
Wait,
I'll-
I think
and
we
I'll
need to
entertain
approve
a
the investment
motion.
policy. We need to approve the policy.
Understood. I'll entertain a motion to approve item C.
I'll make that motion.
Would you please read it, Mr. King?
Yeah, if I can find it. Where am I? Yeah, so I make the motion that we consider and act on resolution 2023-10 that approves the investment committee's recommendation of GVSUD's compliance with Texas Government Code Chapter 2256, Public Funds Investment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is unanimous, carries.
I would add, as we make adjustments and approve, I'm dropping a word, policies, put it in the packet. So we have it, especially if there's any adjustments to the policy, include the document
That's
under
a good
tab.
point.
Y'all gave me the bad one here. It's echoing. So I agree with,
You talk more than I do.
sorry. I agree with the policy as it's written.
He agrees with the policy as written.
All right, we got her? Okay, let's move on to item D. Ms. Miller, I'll let you give the CRWA post-meeting report.
So the meeting started at 6:04 PM and ended at 9:02 PM. I reminded staff that I had to leave early, so I left at 7, but I did get the notes from the minutes, so I can give a report. There were 16 board members present. 2 new board members took the oath of office before the meeting. They talked about the emergency preparedness, freezing weather response plan. Mr. Kaufman mentioned to us that CRWA will be talking with GVEC senior management team to make sure they understand that the CRWA facilities need to have uninterrupted power. CRWA has advertised the 2 open positions since mid-September for assistant general manager and project engineer. There has also been 1 resume for the position of AGM, and the applicant did not meet the qualifications. Mr. Kaufman recommends SGR to be the recruiting firm for the 2 open positions at CRWA. Mr. Rosenberg, which is the legal counsel, said there are no issues with using SGR as a hiring firm for CRWA. $50,000 is the cost estimate for SGR services. This was approved by 15 votes. The PFAS class action litigation, CRWA has been invited to participate in the PFAS class action lawsuit that is in the process of being settled outside of court. PFAS is a chemical that is in the process of being regulated by the US EPA. There is information coming out linking the effects of PFAS, sorry, there you go, to human health. A firm reached out to Mr. Kaufman earlier in 2023 asking if CRWA would be willing to join a multi-district federal court lawsuit. Mr. Rosenberg recommended that the trustee members review the provided handout for the matter and come back to the board with a recommendation. Mr. Rosenberg recommends the president and members of the executive committee that the general manager, staff, and a committee of the board to be appointed by the president give this matter further consideration. The update on the award of PFAS, is that how you say it? Grant application. Mr. Kaufman stated that back in June 2023, CRWA filed an application for the grant under an emerging contaminants program to study PFAS removal from water. CRWA would like to find a way to not only remove PFAS, but also eliminate it, to completely remove it from the water system. CRWA did qualify to pursue the grant funding and has now graduated to the next level. CRWA will most likely get some funding to do testing. The Policy and Legislative Committee, Mr. Gibbs gave an update for the Policy and Legislative, oh my gosh, I can't even speak today. Committee, the CRWA bylaws are ready for discussion and potential vote. The personnel policy is undergoing edits from staff and will go one more final legal review. And the bylaws were passed by 15 votes. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any questions, directors?
Where did they have those job openings posted? Do you know?
I remember him mentioning the newspaper, but other than that, I don't remember where he said it was posted.
Do you know offhand, Steve?
Well, they're utilizing headhunters in some cases.
But right now, that's what they're getting SGR for. But when they said they didn't get any interest in it and one unqualified applicant.
That's a great question, Mr. Sherman. I'm not 100% positive of all of the locations, but
Then the other one was somebody send me what's the construction manager's salary rate over there? I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll go
Didn't memorize that one.
take a look at that opening if it's available still.
All right, item E, engineers report from Tri-Hydro Corporation for construction projects and proposed new development. Mr. Vreeland, good to see you again, sir. You have been missed.
Yes, sir. You have my report, and if you have any questions, comments on any of the projects in there, please let me know.
And how close are you to closing out these projects? I see Klein Road is done. You're just working on the finals on that?
So yes, Klein Road, it's complete. They're, here just, I think it was yesterday, day before, they did have a leak on one of the sections that was recently installed. So they fixed that, but it should be closed out here in the next month or two. It's just going through. They have to have a certain amount of growth and all that as well for the vegetation.
I also want to thank you for an idiot like me for setting a map with numbers on it showing exactly where these projects are.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
That was very helpful.
I do have one question on the Homestead elevated storage tank. So on our check register, we had paid out I believe it was $7,500 for some type of inspection. Is that not something that the contractor would be typically required to do under their project?
So for the coating and the coating inspection and welding, it's traditionally there's a third party inspection. Sometimes we do it, but in this case, Green Valley uses its hot inspection, and that's their specialty, is inspecting coatings and weldings.
So is that not typically included in the bid, or is this just a secondary? We knew we were going to pay an extra amount for it.
It's third party, so they have to, do their own internal testing. But just like concrete, if we have concrete, we'll hire, a lot of times it'll be third party. Some municipalities will hire a third party to, verify that what's coming in is correct.
And based on the funding of that project, that was funded mostly by the development in that area, I would have thought that all of that cost would be associated with it. I think it was $7,500 check I saw on our check register this month, but I would typically expect all the inspection costs to be borne by the contractor. So,
and it goes into preference. Some entities, when it comes to third party testing, usually for third party testing, you have concrete, you have coatings, you have things like that sometimes it's built into the contractors. Some municipalities prefer that, the municipality itself is hiring the third party to eliminate any of those conflict interests. For Green Valley, traditionally, the contractor has to, hire someone for testing concrete and things like that. But coating is traditionally been hired by Green Valley.
That's the dry mill thickness coating testing. Is that's what that is specifically?
Yeah, it's so the blasting and the, the coating thickness and everything else. So.
This particular inspector goes to the actual plant where they're fabricating the tank. He inspects the welding as well as the coatings. So he's on site inspection as well as where they're manufacturing the bowl. They bring it down in pieces. He actually inspects the welding of all of that. And then when they start coating, then he's on site inspecting the coatings. We've used him for pretty much every elevator tower we've done in the last 10 years, 15 years. They're very well respected and they do a great job. Their reports are extensive and he has made them redo welding and scrap tanks that have to start over before. So they do a really good job for us. And it's another layer of protection for us that we know we're getting what we're paying for.
Might consider putting an allowance in the bid where the contractor hires are named, especially just consideration.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
definitely
expect
something
to
we can
see
do. Yeah.
inspections tied to a new project
Yeah.
on our check register. So
Yep.
now I just want to understand how and why we're doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Directors, any other questions? Thank you for your report. Item F, engineers report from Utility Engineers Group for construction projects and proposed new developments. Mr. Montgomery.
Thank you. Provided a memo for the board to consider several updates. I've been politely pushing Texas Water Development Board to get us to close out on the sewer projects. Hopefully that's moving in the right direction and we're getting all the approvals that we need to get those done and off of our list.
Wish you good luck.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Nothing else to add. Pretty extensive list of projects there, but we're knocking several of them off. We have a couple of projects out to bid currently, so we'll see some of those design projects go into construction and
Got a hell of a list, man. Good job.
And Gary, on my comment earlier to our Zoomed consultant, I can't remember their name to save my life.
Mr. Eckers.
Mr. Eckert, thank you. You've got our kayak fee draft study already submitted to staff. That's great. Encourage staff to turn that around as soon as possible. The sooner we can make an adjustment to a kayak fee, if appropriate, the better, in my opinion. And then is there anything else on the acquisition fee and the impact fee that you're waiting on you've obviously requested information.
yeah, on the water acquisition fee, I received information from Canyon Regional on Tuesday. And I'm going through that. We're going through that data. On the water impact fee assessment, we've had 2 meetings with staff on, that's the one that we have to finish the master plan before we can do the study. And we're working on prioritizing projects in the CIP so that we can then set that next 5-year cycle of CIP.
And that
projects.
master plan, I'd circled that. I don't recall having, gone out for a revised master plan. I might just not remember, like, where are we at on that? How are we doing that?
That one, that proposal is aging, to be honest. We've gone through several iterations of plans and now, more recent staff. We provided the draft of that master plan, a couple months ago, and Gabe and his group here at Green Valley have been going through that. So we have the framework of the report put together. We have a CIP map, but
But
now
you've
we're
already
just
been
trying.
authorized to do this master
Yes.
plan, because
Correct.
like you said, it's a little bit older. I don't remember
Yeah, it
when
is
it was
older.
done,
Yeah.
but I just want to make sure that we're not doing something and then next month, we're having
No.
to come back and
Right.
approve some.
Yes,
So
yeah, it'll be a fresh plan. We're just down to the point of making sure the priorities that we set forward match what Green Valley sees on the operations side.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. All right, item 9, review the non-standard water service agreements provided by GVSUD and take action as necessary. Item A has already been resolved. Item B, the Avila Homestead, 2829 FM 725.
Yes. This project is over on 725 and Klein Road. It's a multifamily, or we're calling it a multifamily. They're like garden homes. They're not going to be individual lots, 288 EDUs. It's going to be a master meter, so you'll be providing potable water service and fire flow to it. Provided a memo and study. There's an offsite line that they have to do, basically crossing FM 725. That one's taken a little while to get plans put together on because TxDOT obviously is expanding 725 and trying to coordinate plans and where connections will be has taken a little while with the developer. But I think we're to the point now that the developer has reviewed the study and agrees to go to contract for this one and has agreed to the fees and what their obligations are in the project. So you're able to serve it, potable and fire flow. So it's a clean project. It's just taken a while to get it to contract.
Are we extending fire flow from anywhere that can service other areas?
It's basically just crossing the road. You have a main on one side of the road and we need to get it across and that's.
So it's just servicing that development?
That's correct.
Okay.
But there will be a border main along 725 that will be extended in the future. We're basically creating a big loop in that area, but this is just I think it's 410 feet of that loop. So a very small percentage of that loop.
Okay. Are you looking for approval of this agreement?
Yes.
Today?
Yes.
All right.
And our.
Directors,
before we
any
go,
questions for Mr. Montgomery?
My comment about fire flow is as always, you've got it
Yes.
under item 5.
Yeah, and this one, we required them, we were going back and forth on line sizing and they actually did their internal model and we got them to go do a fire flow test on the fire hydrant right across from their entrance just to verify their model. So we're good on fire flow, potable flow, everything we need.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for item 9B.
Make a motion to approve 9B.
The
Non-standard, yeah, sorry. I'll read it. Avila Homestead, development at 2829 FM 725 New Braunfels, Texas 78130.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I have a question. Hold on.
I'm sorry, discussion.
On number 6, estimated costs, is there any, because it's not articulated in here, I didn't see it, sorry if I missed it, but is there any articulated cost to Green Valley or is this all developer paid? You're pointing out probably a page I
Was
missed.
the memo and study in there? The memo may not have been.
I'm trying to
But I
find
can-
it. So,
The memo specifics.
So this,
So I don't have that in my packet,
it's out of order.
what we're talking.
From the very.
it's in the back.
It's listed as 9B, but it was actually
So the
installed. as
151 is what Green Valley's estimated cost.
At the very end.
Oh, there you go. Sorry. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's why I'm asking. I at least asked. Thank you. Oh.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? I have a motion and a second. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't have that in my packet at all.
After 10.
Yeah, check after 10. Mine was installed.
Bob's doesn't have it.
There was there was the logo of how to.
do have a 9B.
Sorry, Ms. Miller.
Out of order. You've got it over there.
And it's got fire flow.
Where the old River City restaurant was or something.
Behind it, it doesn't.
Yeah. But that burned out.
Barbecue joint that burned down. How shocking.
Maybe.
Ms. Miller, I know you're kind of getting T-boned here. Are you okay? All right. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is unanimous. That item is approved. Item X, consider the proposed GVSUD electronic devices policy and take action as necessary. Ms. Garrity, is this yours?
Does anyone have any questions pertaining to the policy that was provided?
My only question is, electronic devices, does this include computer devices that are here or is this portable?
All electronic devices.
So the IT network infrastructure, all that applies as well, security cameras, everything goes into this purview?
This is for, in the very first paragraph, it talks about includes computers, laptops, iPads, and cellular devices.
So it doesn't include the network, it doesn't include the cloud, stuff like that? Is this?
That
I mean,
would
this is
fall under the
devices.
IT purview.
Yeah.
This is just any type of electronic
Device.
device that an employee may come in contact with.
Okay.
That's GBSUD property.
The words user devices.
Right. So I just want to
Pretty
make sure because
boilerplate.
the separate the
Yeah, no, it's real
one department to the
boilerplate.
other.
San Antonio had a very similar thing.
Well, and so my comments on this one would just be that this is, I mean, pretty detailed. I mean, to a level that, I mean, as an employee, I would feel kind of like, whoa, like I can do anything on here and I'm gonna get in trouble for it. As far as personal use goes. So obviously this policy is coming out now. So anything prior, the employees are gonna have the chance to say, hey, delete all that stuff. If we didn't already, clearly tell
Any
you.
policy that's introduced, that's new, just as we did with the credit card policy, I held a training for all staff to go over the policy with them and to do a Q&A session for them to completely understand prior to signing. I like to sleep at night, so I like the transparency. If there's any questions or any inferences that a staff member may have to a policy, I want to make sure that that's answered so they feel completely comfortable and confident of what they're signing.
About to do that if approved, or have you already?
We do that after every approval from the board.
Okay.
So I did that with the credit card policy. I'm going to do the same thing with this one.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
the feedback comes after we approve the policy, and then I guess you would bring it to our attention if they had concerns or something like that, right?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
All right, if we approve this, you do your meeting with them. If they have any concerns that maybe you can't answer or Pat can't answer, then you just bring it to the board saying, hey, this section right here, this was some concerns or issues. I'll let y'all deal with it, but that's how that process goes. Am I correct?
If there's any questions or concerns, I address it with the general manager and he
Right.
would bring that back to the board.
Okay.
We would have to, any change.
Right, 'cause I didn't know if the employees had a hand in creating this or some feedback to where I know you guys are working on it, mind you, but I didn't know if the workshop happened beforehand.
We did talk with the management in each department
Okay.
for any type of feedback. They didn't see the policy, but we asked, especially like, how do they use the devices? Because we didn't want to put something in the policy that would interrupt what they would normally do out in the
Right.
field. That was one of our main scopes of concern, is to make sure that we're not implementing something in here that would derail what they're doing out there in the
Right.
field. So we got with the individuals management out in the field to make sure that we weren't.
I appreciate it. I just want to make sure I understand how that was decided on, but no, it's pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Any questions,
yeah,
concerns?
I have one.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Sherman, then I'll turn over to Mr. Hendricks.
Oh, you let give it.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
Okay.
Forgive you
Um,
then.
Oh, it just did brain fart on me. Okay, so it's great. It's very detailed and everything. The only thing that's missing is location services, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, requiring location services to be on, but that's neither here nor there. What I was wondering about is the password. These are iPhones, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay, so they're iPhones. An iPhone can be locked at the administrator level before it gets to the employee. And they honestly shouldn't have that password to be able to do that. Now, password for unlocking or locking the phone, it says that they still have to use IT's password, which I raised a question because if with an iPhone especially, and you can do it on Android too, it's just easier on iPhone. With the admin password, I can still put my own passcode of whatever numbers I want. And if IT wanted to, they still can get into the phone completely, which is what the admin password's for. My question is, if we give someone an iPhone and it has IT's password on there, and from what I'm reading here in the third paragraph, it says employees must only use the security password assigned. Is that going to be like the unlock code and stuff to get into the phone? Like they have to, no, I see a shaking head back there. I just want to make sure that we're not saying a customer, an employee has to type in like 5,000 characters in order to be able to get into their phone.
No.
We're just talking about the admin privileges on the phone. That's all I wanted to make sure.
No, yes, sir. So employees are given the PIN numbers
Okay.
to just open the phone and utilize the services.
Can they change that PIN number? That's
They can as they would like to.
okay, because the way I was reading this, it says that they can't. It said,
Now that what that password is referring to is like the iCloud account that allows you to purchase
Perfect.
or not purchase.
okay, that's all I wanted to clarify. I just wanted to make sure we weren't making it harder on employees than we had to. Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Mr. Sherman.
Yes, if everyone would refer to page 3 of 5, second paragraph, talks about, safe driving practices. It says they must enable the do not disturb safe mode while driving. I think, in our investment committee, meeting, we discussed that the policy says one thing, but are we doing it? And if we're not, we understand why we're not. But for example, very reasonable, when I drive at work, I'm on the Bluetooth headset, most of the time I'm driving, making my phone calls. If our staff is the same, I mean, Pat, I bet when you're in your truck, you're on the phone all day long. So if we approve this as written, something that the guys and the gals are going to be doing is the course of their normal business, communicating with each other about business. They can't do that. And if they do, they're in violation of this policy. I think we should have some caveat that a Bluetooth connection to the truck, which all of our trucks are new enough to have Bluetooth connection, I assume. And if we've added a secondary device to make that capability, the way this is written, if we utilize that, we would be in violation of the policy.
So that was a specific item that Pat asked to be put in here because of safety and distracted driving. If it's an emergency, then, I mean, they can answer it when they're not moving, when the vehicle's not in motion. So looking at it from a safety standpoint, distracted driving, and then also for an insurance purpose, not to have a person being on their phone, even if it's a hands-free device. That was the concept. So
We're more restrictive than state law currently with.
this is not more restrictive than state law. Everything that was provided in here came from state and federal law.
So did state and federal law allow for Bluetooth operation of a cell phone while driving?
Everywhere except in a school zone.
Okay. Yeah.
But the
So-
company as a whole has the discretion to implement that, which is not out of character
Sure. But I just
from any
asked if
company.
we're more restrictive than state law, and you said no. And then you said, well, yes, except for in a school zone, you can't run Bluetooth. So that's my point. I'm just saying, if something that everybody does right now, today, talking over the headset or the headset, that's the wrong term, over the Bluetooth, under Bluetooth speaker, under our normal operating conditions, which is standard in vehicle design these days, we're making it more restrictive than that. People are going to do it. And I think that's perfectly safe. I think it's within state law outside of a school zone. And I don't think we should make it more restrictive and tempt the folks to inadvertently violate the policy. I think that's very reasonable to allow for a Bluetooth operation hands-free of the device.
So if I, to fully answer your question, so yes, it is a violation within school zones, things of that nature. But then transportation code also talks about distracted driving, and distracted driving is to be on your device, even if it's a hands-free. They talk about radios being into distracted driving. These are all elements of distracted driving. So it is within the purview of what the transportation code is specifying of distracted driving. So it's not outside the scope of the law.
Okay. What does our insurance policy say as written today?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
Okay.
What's one of the first things they ask you was the driver using his phone?
I have a question, I guess, about the second. I guess I glazed over it. But below it says, 2 paragraphs down, it says texting and driving are strictly prohibited, which 100% on board. However, I see what Mr. Sherman is saying, that perhaps this paragraph could be omitted because answering the phone when it's on hands-free, you're still driving and you're talking to your windshield. I personally don't see that as a distraction. And maybe Pat can chime in on this. I think that we potentially could be shooting ourselves in the foot with this specific paragraph because we could have employees that are like, well, I can't answer my phone on my company phone while I'm driving. If I do, I could potentially be in trouble. Whereas they could be going out to a call and then all of a sudden the call got fixed or whatever, and they have to be redirected. They're not going to know until they pull over to the side of the road and then they check their phone, which now we have wasted time. With this paragraph there, we're kind of putting the employees in a catch-22, and I think that's what Mr. Sherman was going with. When we have 2 paragraphs down, it says very specifically no texting. I personally don't have a problem answering a phone, and my wife is a great driver, and But, and I have no problem with her answering the phone either, but texting is a complete different story for her and me, which is illegal. So that's why we have this.
Right.
But I think
Texting and
answering the
driving is
phone, I think
illegal.
it could potentially create problems if this paragraph is there. That's my only concern.
The
on
board directs us to edit that language. We can certainly do that.
And then I've got Mr. Cooper stepping out. So John, you're up. Mr. Frias, my next question on page 3, all the way down at the bottom. An employee discusses if we get a traffic citation, all this. If that's worded in a very, what I interpreted as a kind of a threatening way. Policies have to be strict. I get it. If someone inadvertently does get a traffic violation, this, in my mind, would entice them to not report it. And again, now we're doing something we shouldn't do because they're worried of the tone of this particular paragraph, at least the way I read it. If we get in an accident in a company vehicle, we're gonna know. When we come home and all of a sudden the bumper's wrecked or motor's not working, we know. We should know. So I feel like that bottom paragraph might take a little revision. I would suggest, especially if the supervisors haven't seen this policy, show it to them and get their take on it. We spent 45 minutes talking about how we can support the staff. I don't want to approve. I like the policy overall. There's a few tweaks. I don't want to approve a policy that the board approved that sounds like, we're coming to get you because you're going to answer your phone trying to do your job while you're driving on a Bluetooth that's in your truck. This is where I'm going there. And then lastly, on page 4, termination and resignation. I think at the end of the first sentence, GVSUDs who are terminated or who resign from GVSUD must return all company-owned electronic devices to the IT department immediately. I think we should improve that, because if someone quits, someone's fired, we need to get our gear back straight away, not vaguely, well, at some point in the future. I think we should tighten that sentence up a hair.
Do you want
I
me
don't
to
know-
add the word immediately? Is that what you're saying?
Immediately, that's the
Okay.
word that,
Promptly.
to my mind, promptly, somebody's can pencil whip it better than me, come up with some type of term, but
Okay.
those were my comments on the policy.
Okay.
Oh, lastly, I'm sorry, the last page,
The last one was the
I
last.
apologize. This is important. I strongly disagree with a wage deduction
Yeah, I had it.
form when we hand over a phone. I have a company phone. I do. I've not damaged it. I've not lost it, but it happens. If Mr. Frias has a company phone and he's had it for 2 years and breaks it, drops it, sets it on the toolbox of the truck and drives off, drops it in a tank at a treatment plant somewhere, all these things happen. If John does it once a month, we need to have a, disciplinary discussion with him. If it happens once ever with that particular staff member, or if a certain department is just losing them left and right, we need to focus on that. If an accident happens, these things are outrageously expensive. Inflation, our folks, some of them, their personal finances might be tight. And if they have a legitimate accident at work, I don't need to send them a bill for $1,000 for a cell phone, personally.
Kind of a management discretion kind
Sure,
of
but
thing.
if we put it in the policy that we're trying to approve, it's our discretion.
Yeah.
Oh, instead of putting will be my financial, we could just put could be.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah, I would accept that. Could
Yeah,
be.
and that's the discussion I wanted to have up here is I don't want anybody to think we're not targeting, but coming after you if you make a mistake. It happens every now and then. I've made a mistake once or twice in my life, it happens. So if
Let me ask your wife.
if the way this is written, I strongly disagree with it. So I don't even know if maybe Mr. King, do you think maybe just lightening that to give the
Yeah, to
general
give you
manager
discretion.
Yep, we can fix these.
Instead of will, just put could.
That's the purpose of giving this to y'all today, so you could look at it, review it. Let's hear your comments. We'll make some edits and bring it back.
I don't know if we need to especially title it a wage deduction document, because staff might still say, even though it says a variable term in there, And I don't know how to fix that, but these are my feedback.
Yeah, I can put some maze in there where it, but in the, just to point out to you that on page 2, under the last paragraph about general use, the last paragraph, it does have language in there that gives the general manager discretion on any and all disciplinary.
And I think if it's in there that I didn't.
But I can make it more prominent. I see what your point is, and I agree with that too, and I,
Maybe reference back
Yeah.
to that section.
absolutely,
So we didn't have any policy prior to this, correct?
we did not.
Right, so thank you for the binder again. So correct me if I'm wrong, but as of right now, no employee has signed off on anything electronic related when they get hired or anything like that, saying that, they're not going to violate company policies or procedures when it comes to electronic devices. Is there anything along those lines or?
Document that David had them sign when it was issued to them.
Okay.
I would have to look at the language to see if there was anything put in there. My understanding is it was just basically keeping track of who had what electronic devices.
Do we have an employee handbook that covers anything along those lines or anything like that?
That's part of why we're redoing the policy. It's not that there's something wrong with the personnel policy. It just needs,
More,
especially with all the nuances, it just needs to be updated.
okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just didn't know if right now employees have an understanding, signed documents, we can, make sure we're protected. Well,
And-
that's why we're trying to make sure if this is what we're rolling out with,
Microphone.
it's good, so.
In the current personnel policy, it has I believe it's one, maybe 2 sentences that basically specifies that things are GBSUD property.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the illusion, but it's
all
not,
Understanding of control and protection against.
it's not as transparent as this one.
So today, are you looking for an action on this? Because I think there's enough tweaks
Gonna have to
that.
table it.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Do
So
you
do
think
we
by
need to-
November that you can get us the revisions?
We can get the revisions to you.
Get back next meeting. So I'll accept a motion to table this item.
Do you need all of the people's notes sent to you, or do you remember, did you take notes of it?
Come back to us again, so.
Right, but she has to revise it, so she needs all the information that we all talked about to revise it.
That's kind of what I want to specify. Is the board okay with deleting that paragraph I was talking about?
Which have the board just email her their recommendations as to, here's what I would, like you to consider and review again, and maybe get with Pat and see if the board's recommendations are good for that, so.
We
Instead of
have
just completely
those, plus we
deleting-
have the recording
right,
to
right.
see what your intent was. I think we can take it from there.
Okay.
So Mr. Cooper, if no. Item that is
X.
X10, if you do lingo.
I have a motion to table item 10. And a second. All in favor? Opposed? Item is tabled. Let's go on to item 11. Review and discuss previously approved 2023 GVSUD board meeting dates for November and December. Take action as necessary. Can anybody tell me what those new dates are we
Well,
approved?
Currently, we approved back in December 2022 list of dates. And in those dates, Wednesday, November 22nd, which is the day before Thanksgiving, was set for the November board meeting, and Thursday, December 14th was for the Christmas or the December board meeting. I brought it back for y'all today. Y'all were asking me to verify. So I brought it back today just to make sure everybody in the board understood that. On the Wednesday, November 22nd, that particular week, we'll also be canvassing the results of the election. So we don't need a full board for that. We just need 1 or 2 members of the board directors there.
Yeah.
Usually the president, vice president, I think both you and Mr. Frias,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper have said y'all would be there. That's all we need for canvassing the election.
What
votes.
day?
My understanding is 20th, the Monday.
20th?
Yes.
Did we
We'll post a formal notice and all those things here the next day or so. But on the 22nd would be our board meeting, which is a Wednesday. We normally close a half day. Customer service may not be here when we
Hard
get
stop
done.
at noon.
That's up to y'all.
I may have made a mistake and committed to my wife that we would travel for Thanksgiving, so I would not be available.
Holidays are always really challenging
They are.
anyway, so if you've got previous commitments, as long as we've got a quorum, I think we'll be okay, Mr. Sherman. Let me ask the board and staff, Pat, I know we've made some smart ass comments about possibly canceling December's meeting if it's not 100% necessary. Is that still an option?
I would need to look at a few things for what would be on the December agenda. Before I say that.
Okay, all right, that's fine. It was just a question. It's not an intent. But-
If looks like we could cancel the December meeting, I would probably know that by the November meeting. I could put on the agenda for then if we were.
Well, let's go ahead and schedule it for the 14th, and then if we can cancel it, consider that an option if we're able to fulfill our duties.
December.
December 14th.
Yes.
So that we would have still time to roll that in and just.
The December meeting?
No, November's. So if we were to roll November's meeting instead of the week of Thanksgiving, we do that week after, would that be even enough time for you to do whatever you can to get December's in
After
for, yeah, the
Thanksgiving?
week after, like on the 27th or 28th?
And now we're
Is that-
changing 2
well,
months.
No, the reason why I'm saying is because if he can say, we don't need December's meeting, I can do that if I had one more week to get that information in there because of the holidays.
Sure. Sam, does that imply any potential legal issues that we're coming close to the end of the month? That's only
72
2 days before the end of the period.
That would be
There
more
might be a
financial, right?
Deadline to,
Well, we would already canvass. We would canvass earlier.
if
with
you've
just-
already canvassed, then I think
Yeah.
it's probably okay. I
What
might
if-
might
what
have
if we-
misunderstood that.
What if we considered Thursday, November 30th, which would be a late November, and then we might be able to handle all the December business
Do
we
both
need.
meetings and
Yeah, try to roll it both into one.
Mr. Allen?
Bob,
And I'll try anything once, but yeah.
I was ready for the
Directors, any concern?
22nd. That's my last meeting,
Sorry.
so I wanted on the 22nd.
Okay.
But if Nick's not gonna be here because you're gonna be, if you win the election, then you're
I
gonna
mean,
miss.
if, that's a joke. We shouldn't talk about all that.
I said if,
not going there, we're not going.
cause
I'm
there's 4 of y'all.
convoluting this,
So I'm
directors.
saying, if you're gonna miss that meeting, you know,
Well, I prefer not to miss a meeting.
well, of
It's
course.
tough having the board meeting the day before Thanksgiving.
And it's
So if we're gonna
also
move one,
very
let's
hard,
move that
though,
one.
But it's hard to do a board meeting at the end of month, at the end of the cycle or a monthly pay period and billing and all that stuff. I would imagine that end of month, because I know end of month for me and my company is, yeah, you don't schedule anything on end of month.
No, that's actually works better for us to
Sam,
give
is
us more
end of
time to
month
work on this
Thumbs
stuff.
up or thumbs down?
Okay,
See
well,
thumbs up in it
if-
back there.
Okay,
So,
I'm just,
so the
yeah.
30th?
the 30th.
Does Mr.
November
King-
30th?
Doesn't work for me.
So
30th doesn't work for you.
My husband has to have surgery.
29th? Just go
I
back.
can do the 28th.
28th is a Tuesday.
I know. And I don't want to miss my last board
Yeah,
meeting.
no, I'm, 28th is good for me.
Can you?
To the
28th,
30th.
Cooper?
Well, we did, but she can't.
What about the
Kristen can't
27th?
make it.
27th?
29th, 30th.
So
I'm
November
good.
28th?
Everything else. is
Can
fine.
you do 29, Christie?
No, that's the day my husband has surgery.
So as
So
we're
30.
rolling down, as we're rolling down from this end of the table, the 28th works for Mr. King and I.
Not for Cooper.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm in Albuquerque.
And you're
you
out
do
the
remote?
27th?
I can, no, I wouldn't do remote. I just turn it over to you as long as we've got a quorum.
Let's cancel both months.
Now you're pushing it. Now that's a reach. Okay, so the 28th then, and then we'll just play it by ear with Mr. Cooper.
about the-
Bob, James, the 28th work. for you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
You good, Bob?
All right, and then let's go ahead and keep the December 14th meeting scheduled, but
pending.
make it tentative. Is that fair?
So we've moved to the
Yes.
28th.
Because we need to keep it on the books.
We got to make a motion, but
29th. No, from the,
All right, so we're going to schedule November's meeting for November 28th is the recommendation. And then keep the meeting for December the 14th. Do I have a motion to make those changes?
I'll make a motion that we reschedule the November meeting to Tuesday, November 28th, 9 AM. And leave the December meeting as scheduled, December 14th at 9 AM.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous. Thank you, directors. You know, the holidays are always so challenging, getting everybody's schedules together, so. All right, item 12, consider Tri-Hydro's recommendation to accept the bid and award the Green Valley Road project to include authorizing the general manager to sign all necessary documents and take action as necessary. Mr. Reland.
Just a little background on this project. Last year, we had installed the Green Valley Road water line. It's basically a 16-inch water line that goes down Green Valley Road, basically in the area of Legendary Trails, Homestead, and all that. So a 16-inch line was put down Green Valley Road, and this project is a follow-on to that, basically to install some crossings at various points so that you can basically abandon some of the old infrastructure, mainly this old asbestos cement pipeline that's in there now. So this is kind of the final step. We couldn't include this in the project last year because of, some of the development happening, but it needs to be done so that we can get rid of that old infrastructure from the inventory. So we sent this out to bid, and we received bids back, and we have the bid tab included with the packet. And then we received 3 bids, and the low bidder was R.L. Jones at $324,270. We've worked with R.L. Jones several times. They have completed quite a few of the Green Valley projects. So our recommendation is to award it to R.L. Jones for $324,270.
And is this the Green Valley crossing? It's at the low water near Dean Road and that horse property?
There's a couple different crossings of Green Valley Road. One of them is right at the Homestead subdivision. It's near there. Actually, there's one before that.
So which one is included here?
It's multiple.
Oh, it's
crossings.
multiple. Okay.
Yep. And then one of them's down at Mustang Ranch. And then one of them, like I said, is the Scenic Hills. That's the word I'm looking for. Scenic Hills and then Mustang Ridge.
So not down in the low water crossing near Dean Road?
No,
Okay.
no, it's
Because I know we finally got an easement there on that property, but these projects do not.
No,
work
that
there.
has been, I guess, delayed just, for funding and all that. So that has not gone forward yet. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, that one's the plant 1 to plant 9, but that's a different
correct.
project. This is,
What's the duration of this project? The
What's that?
duration?
the duration. I think we have in there 90 days. Actually, it may be 60 and then 90.
Okay, and then you're good on your quantities, because I see the apparent low bidder is got some fuzziness. They're much higher than expected on pipe length and whatnot. We're not expecting any extensions of, I used to do all that finagling on bids.
I know how they like to manipulate bids if they expect change orders and things like that. With this particular one, it's pretty set. There is not much pipe going in. It's really just the casings and then some abandoning of the existing infrastructure.
And then, Mr. Allen, how do we pay for it?
Out of reserve funds. Impact fees. Did you mention it also gets rid of a lot of AC line?
Yes, sir. Yep. So there's quite a bit of AC line, and that's on the Homestead side of Green Valley Road. And it's frequent issues with that and repairs. And I know that's definitely one they'd like to get out of the system. And you're right, it is.
It's
impact
getting rid of a
eligible.
maintenance problem out there as well. So it's an improvement we want to do for a long time.
So, Mr. Allen, it'll be billed under the capital, no, that's capital revenue. Trying to see which line item we'll be billing it out of.
This is not listed in that budget report where you would look to see where our funds that we have available for capital improvements would be on your account balances sheet.
But then it would show here under the capital expenses.
It's not listed on that.
It won't be
spreadsheet.
shown here at all.
No, sir. This is one of those projects that come up after other projects are done throughout the year. So when we have something like this, we bring it to the board for approval through the bid process. So you see what the costs are. We don't move forward unless the board approves it. We do have the funds available but it was not a projected budgeted item when we approved the budget, I guess is a better way to say that. We will have those throughout the year times that we try to we've been planning this for quite some time because of Evanston acquisition and other things. It put us into a new fiscal year, so it's not listed on our approval of our capital improvements on our fiscal year budget. So we do this operationally through a bid work, bring it to the board for approval. Like I said, the project doesn't move forward unless y'all approve that. Very difficult.
Any other questions, directors?
Um,
Mr. Allen?
More discussion on that is, as you move through the year and development happens in certain areas, you can't always predict all the capital improvements that you need to do to accommodate that timing of those capital improvements that are dictated by development. Right across the road from this is the Cibolo Farms subdivision, which has been in the planning stage for 3 years now, still ongoing, but now all of a sudden it came up and started. So this is in addition to that subdivision, as well as Legendary Trails, it's existing, as well as the work that we're doing on Homestead Parkway. So it's all part of that area there, but was not predicted and the timing. Otherwise, we'd have had it in our budget process.
On our development reports for those neighborhoods, does it say we need to spend $325,000
I
offsite?
can't tell you, no.
So one of the crossing, I'll give just a little bit of background on the necessity for it. So Scenic Hills is a great example. Scenic Hills, we put the 16-inch along, Green Valley Road. We didn't have easements to go up Scenic Hills. It wasn't possible to get that at that time. We had, issues with landowners. So Scenic Hills, the water line that serves all those residents up Scenic Hills, is still attached to the AC line on that side of the road. So this removes them from that old AC line and puts all those residents now on the 16-inch line.
How many breaks and repairs have we had on that line?
Oh, God, that line's been in since the late 60s. The summertime, you can visit that roadway 3 or 4 times a month. AC is an old pipeline, old style. We've been working very diligently over the last 15 years to get all of it out of our system. We have very little bit left.
What's for non-construction directors, what's the last time that was installed? The late 70s, early 80s?
Oh,
I mean, they still, I believe they still have AC pipe. It's not
Really?
installed. Yeah, you can still get it, I believe, in certain
Like a
applications.
repair project.
It's just not used, especially for water line, very
and
often.
in our expansive soil, it's a nightmare.
Yep.
We used to have some along I-10, and we would visit at least 3 times a week and during the summertime.
So the other side of the road, it's not just abandoning that, it's the other side of the road too. There's a existing 8-inch line, I believe, on that side of the road that will be abandoned. And that's actually in right of way now with some of these developments expanding. So it's getting rid of abandoning that pipe that's in the existing right of way.
Asbestos is not dangerous unless it's,
To inhale asbestos would be bad.
Water line?
yeah, it has to be.
Being a smart.
The strength and everything else, but yeah, so there's still quite a bit. I'm sure Green Valley still has plenty of AC line in their system too.
You wait.
All right, so I'm gonna
Mr. Freeland.
I'm gonna make a motion, but it helped me to know, hey, we got $325,000 estimate
Yep.
this fiscal year, sooner. But I believe it's worth replacing rather, or getting that out of the system. So I'll make a motion that we approve the bid for RL Jones in the amount of $324,270 to be paid out of reserve funds.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Breland. All right, moving on. Mr. Rutherford, it's your time to shine. Anything for us in public, or do we need to move into executive session? Okay, thank you. All right,
Which sections are we taking into executive session and under what code? Any pending or threatened litigation we can talk about?
Yes, well, nothing new. I don't have anything under 13. We need to take 14, 15, and 16 into executive session.
seen all 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Directors, with no further questions, I will adjourn to executive session at 12:57.
It's 1:46, we're going back into open session. At this time, we did not take any action considering items 14, items 15. Do I have a motion for item 16?
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion based on our discussion in executive to direct the utility engineering group to approach the contractors for Flying Bar D master plan, to approach them to do a feasibility study with the understanding that the board needs more information.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Britt, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
No, it's not.
Sorry, Mr. Cooper is still absent from the meeting. So it'd be a 6-0. Okay, let's see. Do I have a motion to, motion to consideration of proposed items to be included in next month's board meeting agenda? Do I have anything that needs to be added to next?
I'd like to have staff give us a detailed report on contracted services and professional services that are included in the 2024 budget. We took some action today. We're using up some of that.
We need to add the tabled items back, the balance sheet. And there was another one too. I didn't make a note though. What was? Can we table another item?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, just tabled items. Okay, staff got that? All right, so anybody else? Britt, everybody good? Okay,
Hang on, the next board meeting is my last meeting, just to
yes,
verify that.
noted. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's concluded. Time is 1:49.